I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs spoon. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make the man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Naja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama hip, so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing. You need endurance to go in, I got mileage on this pen. I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
Auckland.
guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Austin.
Oi, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Judgment, Austin.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's very good to see all of you tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys coming on short notice. I was looking for I guess they're called the white papers. Susan Constantine was referring to them and they were shown on Nerdy Addict's live stream that we went over last night. But I wanted to just go ahead and pull those in and show you guys, and I didn't think it would take but a few seconds to pull them up. But I can't seem to find them on the website, and I'll show you her website just so you guys can take a look, and maybe we could read a little bit on Susan. But I kind of thought, well, that sucks. but we do know some keywords that they were looking into and what those meanings are. So, what we can do tonight is I wanted to show you, I think it was like my third video that I ever posted to YouTube, but it's the first interview with Chris and Katie Proudfoot, right? Excuse me, the first TV interview where they actually show themselves and we can see their body language. I'm assuming that's why they chose that one. Plus, it was the one that happened 8 days after Sebastian went missing. So directly after Sebastian went missing, right? So the most fresh interview where you can see them, their body language, not just their sausage fingers or the only hands interview. So I wanted to pull that in and see, what you guys thought of that. And then also, we can have a good laugh at one of my first videos. Because, I like to think I've gotten better at this. Chuchi, it's so good to see you, Chuchi. Thank you so much for putting in the disclaimers always for us. Viewer discretion advised, mature audience. Also, no drama. We don't need any dark triads entering the room, right? Unless they want to hang in the bushes. That's cool. You guys can, hang out in the bushes. Gail, hello, Gail. So good to see you. Gail says, hello, Lady Freedom mods in chat. We are Sebastian and Devlin's army. Thank you so much, Gail. Really appreciate you with putting in, Sebastian and Devlin's army and the blue and green hearts too. Thank you so much. And hey, Marion. Marion's here and little Miss Sharon is here. Good to see you, little Miss Sharon. Hey, Bo. So good to see you. And Valley Gal, good to see you. Hope Floats, thank you for being here. Also, let's see who else we have. I see you guys with the pencils. You guys are so funny. Go suck a pencil. Let's see. We got Valley Gal, excuse me, is here. Good to see you, Valley Gal. So good to have everybody here. Hey, JH, aloha. And Shadow is here. So good to see you. Hey, Kylie's Nail Candy. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. So, yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of take a look back, especially because I wanted to more so be able to analyze, all the pages. There was like 13 pages of that document that they were talking about. I don't know why it's so difficult to find these things. So we're just going to jump right into it. But I was looking on this website, and I'm like, and maybe you guys can help me find it. Maybe I'm just looking and I'm not, finding it. So, you can do like a live workshop, right? I probably am not going to do a live workshop. Would I like to? Sure. I think it's interesting. I would love to learn more about, keying into some of these things that we're talking about, because I think it's interesting for us to be able to talk about, not as an expert, just speculating, right? But there's, key indicators that we can look for, and it's fun to discuss them, and our friend All That Is Unseen was in here last night and was joking around about, saying actually and different things. That really everybody says, right? We all say we all say home, we all say, those words, right? So, but it's interesting the way that they're examining and analyzing things. So, and I've always been interested in psychology and that sort of thing. So, it kind of fits into that scientific theory. So Susan Constantine, she is a deception detection services, right, person, but she does scientifically proven, field vetted, real world application for legal, business, and life, right? So she's got her whole website here, where she talks about what she does. And so, because people were asking that too yesterday, and I'm not going to inquire. I might send her an email and ask her if she can send me the reports, so we can look over them, and maybe she had to take them down or something like that. But she says that she's trying to uncover the truth, right? Be empowered in the courtroom, boardroom, or any situation. So she kind of sells this. She reminds me of the narcissist negotiator. I don't know if you guys know her from YouTube, but Rebecca Zung is her name. And I really highly recommend her advice, because it seems like very solid advice, especially if you're having to deal with a narcissist in family court. So that's how I was interested in her work. Rebecca Zung, that is. So hello, Sandy. Good to see you. Thank you for coming out of the bushes to say hello. So when I'm looking at this, it's very interesting on how she's trying to teach others how to, decode using key indicators for human behavior, right? She talks about the six prongs that we went over yesterday, that she brought the chart out for. But again, it kind of turned into a little bit of a shit show when they did the call-ins, in my opinion, right? But I thought it was all well done, or I wouldn't have reviewed it, and I wouldn't still be talking about it this far along, right? I think that I missed an opportunity because I was traveling last time to really, deep dive into this information, because I'll tell you, the way that these streets can discredit a woman who is so accomplished like Susan, it's amazing to me. And so I just figured we would, kind of look into her page a little bit, and what she actually does. So she says she's a top legal and business professional, um, and she basically uses this technology to decode the human behavior, right? And I don't want to just sit here and read the website to you all, because you guys could go and just read it yourselves. But I did think it was important for us to know who we were talking about. Again, I'm going to try to just see if I can shoot her an email, if she can't just share those reports with me, because I did go to Nerdy's X account, because he posts a lot there. I couldn't find it. Tried to go to the Nerdbird website. So again, if anybody knows how I can get those documents without bothering Susan, that would be great. So basically, she wants you to use her program to leverage her expertise, if you want to expand your leadership skills or sales skills, right? Because that would actually also fit in to deception detection skills, right? Which I just think is really interesting. Again, we have Deception Detective who does that with his cards, and really puts it into a easier way to identify these things. So, all of these reasons that people would sign up for her program. Build stronger cases, right? She works with attorneys, leverage untruthful testimony, right? This is a really good one if you're trying to, prosecute someone. And she does train judges and lawyers and that sort of thing across the United States, according to her. And then this standard is used in courts over in the UK, she said as well. Hey, Holly S., good to see you. Thanks for being here. So, we have a very well accomplished person here. So also, they analyze statements, right? So they can analyze your video statements, 911 calls. That's really interesting. Transcripts or materials, excerpts will break down, critical insights, right? And that way you can understand what's truthful and what's not. Now, I just want to remind everybody that Chris and Katie got a 52% honesty score, right? Whether the 2% was more on the honest side or not, let's just round it to 50-50, right? So half of what they were saying in this interview with Holly Thompson, which is the one that was analyzed by Susan here, right, is and this isn't, like I said, this is one of my first videos, so it's going to be a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. I'm still proud of it. And I identified a lot of crap with Chris and Katie right off the bat. This interview was the first one that I watched, right? So again, I was following Riley Strain's case. Pascal was covering it, and then I was in his chat, very often, listening or sometimes chatting too. So that's how I became familiar with Sebastian's case, because people were saying there's a boy named Sebastian Rogers and he's missing and he's missing, and I'm like, okay. So then I go over and look up Sebastian, and I find his picture, and I think they were showing a lot, the one with the glasses, where he was in, like a LensCrafters or something. And, that was really sad because I'm like, well, he's, I know Seth was saying he's handsome, not cute, but he's a handsome young man. And it's like, okay, he's a 15-year-old. He is autistic, and they're saying this, but it's not really matching up with what I knew about the spectrum, and things were just kind of strange. And then I read, or I watched this interview, excuse me. And then later on, I found out that they had done an interview the day before with Duchess. Now they had a search for Sebastian. So he went missing on February 25th, 26th, right? Reported on the 26th. His mom says, she woke up, he wasn't there, right? And so then they did a large scale search, right? And they pulled out all the stops. I mean, they were going door to door the first couple days, looking in crawl spaces, looking in places where Sebastian might be hiding. They did all of that, right? And that's for anybody that's just joining us or has never heard about his case, right? But just to reiterate, they did a lot in the first 7 days, but then they decided to scale back and go to the investigative side of the search, which led them to search the landfills, right? And there was a couple of landfills that were searched. And I think that needs to be absolutely noted. Do I think that they were looking for Sebastian there? No, I don't. I think they were looking for things that were thrown away because the trash was picked up that Monday morning as well, right? So just seeming like they're following through with some sort of protocol, right? But then again, they were operating under the assumption for the whole week that Sebastian had walked off. Now, when they went to the investigative side, again, I'm thinking that, they're not thinking much more about Sebastian walking off, even though they were pushing that. I think they were moving a little bit towards, what's going on with these parents, right? But again, they didn't do any type of news interviews until after they scaled that search back, right? And then they started doing these interviews where she's fake crying. Shout out to Guilty of a Crime. I just watched a replay of hers. I think it was a couple weeks ago. But really great analysis. Putting a fresh set of eyes on Sebastian's case. I didn't realize that Maddie Soto was so closely missing to Sebastian, but that's who she was covering for a really long time. So, hey IML, good to see ya. So that was cool to go back. Now, the Duchess interview, we've reviewed that one several times here. We've reviewed this one several times as well, and we've kind of gone back and reviewed some of the older videos that I made, even when I did the comparisons, with the Polished Turds interviews and stuff like that, right? Where they were coming up on the internet and people were allowing for them to, basically. One of the things that Jay pointed out as well was that they were going on these podcasts, and the podcasters were being, kind as to reiterate the story and narrate the story for them, right? Instead of them talking. And there was a lot of times too, which was pointed out by Bed Crime Stories, and I noticed it as well, that there were a lot of times where Katie would be talking, but the interviewers would cut her off or talk over her, or Chris would, right? So you have Katie back here like this, and you can barely hear what she's saying, and then you got to go into those interviews, and you have to crank up the volume on Katie, crank down the volume on her loudmouth husband, in my opinion. And that's from me editing the videos is why I think that. And it was like really annoying to sit there and have to do that, right? Instead of them allowing for Katie to speak, or for Duchess to say, hey Katie, I know this is difficult time, hun, but can you move up closer to the mic? Or just let them know that you can't hear what she's saying. Now Chris has always taken over and been center stage, and he really had no business doing that, right? Because he wasn't there, or was he? Right? And then that's the problem with this case. We got 50-50 truth. He was there, he wasn't. That's not a 50-50. That's a yes or no answer. Were you there or not? Yes or no? We can't be in two places at once. That's one time where two things can't be true at the same time, right? You're either in one place or you're in the other. But what puts Chris at the scene is him talking with Katie for that 3-hour phone call, right? So a lot of people look to that 3 hours or 2.5 or 2 hours even, because that's quite a while to be on a phone call, unless we're looking at their call logs and that was something that was normal for them, right? Because then that's a baseline behavior. Hey, Sammy, good to see you. I wonder if they think Marge threw something away when she drove towards the school. Okay, maybe you're thinking, I wonder if they think that maybe Katie. I don't know if we're calling people Marge now nowadays. Sorry, I just thought of that because I know people call Chris Edgar. So yeah, I don't know if I mean, if she was going to ditch anything, that would have been the time to do it. And there's a lot of places and water and around the area that she could have disposed of things in. But they would have really had to get their shit together if this wasn't planned out. So this is what I think about too, when I'm theorizing about Sebastian's case. Was it premeditated? Right? Because I've always kind of thought it was premeditated, and I think I was a little bit premature to that conclusion, but I think I can still stand upon it today, because I think that if it was something that was last minute, I don't think they would have done such a good job covering it up. Although they still didn't, because the shoes, right? Sebastian's shoes were still at the house. I mean, I know people would say, well, we don't know what kind of other shoes Sebastian could have worn out of the house, but it's just my opinion that either way, even if he had another pair of shoes that we didn't know about and those were the ones that he wore, because I think that is a valid statement to make. But I just think that because there's no footage of Sebastian, I just don't see how he would have made it out of the neighborhood undetected. Right? So that's where I'm stuck with that. Because I mean, sure, there's a possibility that he had other shoes. I mean, for somebody to only have 4 pairs of shoes, and again, I've said this before, I have a lot of pairs of shoes, right? I have a lot of different types of shoes. But I'm also, a female, so I don't know, boys maybe have less shoes than girls, because, I mean, I guess they need a pair of sandals, boots, tennis shoes. I don't know what other shoes they could need. Right? House shoes though, that sort of thing. But I also think Sebastian probably would have been particular about house shoes being house shoes, right? We also know that he had some pair of water shoes that he was wearing at some point in the pool, right? But again, would he put his water shoes on to run away? Or would he use those specifically for water? I think that he would use them specifically for water. You know, Seth wouldn't necessarily know what shoes Sebastian has at CP and KP's house. It's not like she sent a list to Seth. That is what Sebastian has here. Yeah, exactly. And, the relationship between Katie and Seth seemed to be more of a go-between relationship between Chris and Seth, right? Which, I mean, if whatever works in someone's situation or family, I'm not going to knock that, because that's how they choose to raise their family or have their family be, and that's their choice, as long as no one's getting hurt or anything like that. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, if that's what works for your family. Um, with Chris's mentality, though, it's hard to believe that there was a working relationship because of the narcissism, but also makes me wonder if Chris couldn't handle the fact that Katie would talk to Seth because of a jealousy or because of wanting control over that situation, because that's just something that comes with someone being a narcissist. And even I just, have this paused randomly, but even how I have it paused here, I mean, look at his face. Look at that. It's like he doesn't give a fuck. Like, who cares? Oh well, meh, you know. Um, so I don't know. Some of these facials, I was gonna push this back a little bit because I don't want to do the intro. But I mean, Chris's face, and I also want you guys to pay attention to his blinks. I know that we have talked about him blinking before, and then also like he'll like shoot a look over to whoever's interviewing to make sure that they are believing what he's saying, kind of a thing. So absolutely look out for that. But the couple keywords that I was interested in looking out for tonight is the word home, right? And then also, I should have pulled that sheet up. It's really a shame I couldn't just find this on Susan's page because I was kind of interested to go over this with you guys and then play the interview, but maybe it's better that we don't have so many keywords because they used those keywords over and over and over again, or key statements. But one of them was honestly, actually, and then home. And I think there was another one, if I'm not mistaken. I know they said we, right? But I mean, here's the thing with we. Chris wasn't there. So that just tells me with a 52% score that they absolutely fabricated and came up with the story, right? And to me, that could be true if it was an accident or if it was premeditated. But the thing with overdosing a child as a mother, I don't see that ever being unintentional. I think that would be extremely hard to do if you didn't mean to do it, right? Like, I mean, here's the thing. You know how much your child takes of their medications. I mean, if it's new, then you get acclimated to that, time that they need to take it every day, get into that routine. But you also need to remember the dosage, right? And never so you know how much they get, even whether you do it in one of those little pull, syringe things, where you pull, and or to administer, or if you give them medications in pill form, any of those things, whether you're giving them too much. One more than what they're supposed to take is too much. 1 cc of a pull more, right? Even in those pull medicines, is too much more than they're supposed to have. So when you give them, copious amounts and toxicology comes back with that, that's that doesn't look accidental. It looks very intentional. So that's why I just don't see how that could even fall as an accident. And that's just because, as a parent, if you're the one administering that, and I guess that could be across the board as a caregiver too. If someone that you're giving medications to or helping with their medications, if you give them too much of it, then you're intentionally giving them too much. And I think of it that way because I used to have to give my mother medications when she was very sick. And so, like, even in that regard, I knew how much she was taking. So if I gave her too much, I'd know that I was giving her way too much. But and also the time, we have to remember the time between when they got home from the Texas Roadhouse was 7 p.m. And then in the morning, she reports him almost at 7 p.m., right? So 7 to 7, if we wanted to get really technical, we could do 7 to 6 a.m., but she still didn't report him. So there's still some time. Katie also was driving around the neighborhood, as you guys mentioned in chat. So, I mean, I think that, and oh, with the window rolled up, by the way. Don't forget that her window was rolled up, all of them. couldn't yell out for Sebastian, nothing. Because her window was rolled up. Hello, Ann Brock. Good to see you. Marion says, in my opinion, they have enough intelligence to understand med dosage. I think so. I mean, as a mom, we were just used to giving our kids medications, right? And I mean, Sebastian might have been used to being given medications, even if they change the dosage and stuff. Maybe something like that if they're taking a lot. I can maybe see it, but then you wouldn't see like a whole bunch more that was recommended in their system. So, but I don't think there's enough time for that to happen, because if that happened, then Katie would have even say Katie gave Sebastian medicine around 8 or 9 p.m., right before bed or whatever, and too much was administered, which I just can't see that being accidental. It would take some time, and another thing too, I think it would be very difficult. Again, children on the spectrum, people on the spectrum are used to routine. And, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but, if somebody that has the awareness, the wherewithal like Sebastian does, if you give him 7 pills and he knows he's only supposed to take 1 or 2, then that's going to be a significant amount. She would have had to, given him something to disguise it or something like that. But again, the time. And then I think that would be something that they would be able to find out quickly had they checked on medication and how much was left over based on how much he was given, that sort of thing. A lot of people think there was a handoff from the green hoodie with some sort of substance that could have been an aid in being something that wasn't of his own medical, that was, excuse me, medically prescribed, right? Versus something that she could have given him from off the street or something like that. And I can't rule that out, but again, it would be intentional and premeditated. Premeditation does not have to occur several days before, right? It doesn't have to, it can be very close to the time that the action has occurred, right? So there's that. I think that there's a definite pattern. I was talking with KJ on text because, the gathering of voices and things like that. And we were talking about just, what are the patterns? And I'm like, I'd have to go back and look at the patterns of when the CPS reports were going on and see if there was some sort of, correlation to his disappearance, right? Because I do think that there was a series of events that led up to the premeditation of either taking Sebastian and putting him somewhere else or something more nefarious. And, we absolutely have to look at every option here or every scenario that is probable. I think at this point, we're not really looking at possible as much as probable, right? Because it's 2 years. We've covered this case almost every night, for the past year solid, right? But I mean, I was doing these videos back in March of 24. So, um, but hey, good to see you, Tennessee nurse. Okay, so it's also harder to OD on medications than many would think. Thank you, TN nurse. Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. Thanks for chiming in. I agree. I think they would have already figured it out if they were an OD on meds he was taking. Yeah, yeah, because that would be, that would be something they would look into, I would think. I mean, I would think. I could be wrong, but I would think they would be definitely looking into that, you know? Um, Thank you for letting us know that too. And I agree. I think it's something that's harder and it takes a little bit longer too. You know, there's been a lot of these cases where people have tried to OD their spouse. Even when Chris um Watts was trying to make Shanann either lose the baby or maybe he was trying to, take her life or whatever, but he had slipped her something in her drink that made her really sick and that sort of thing or whatever. He dosed her. So, and it didn't work, right? It just made her really sick. So, Gail says that didn't Sebastian's medication get changed before he went missing? Yeah, it did. It did, to the best of my knowledge. They had just went. I believe they said that on Smiley, and I think it was also brought up on Web Sleuths too. That Sebastian had recently had a change in medications. Um, but they were also playing the HIPAA game, right? We can't say because of HIPAA. We can't say because of HIPAA, you know? In the blink of an eye. Thank you, Sammy. I didn't want to pinpoint it, but yeah, Sammy says exactly, Lady Freedom. The courts say that premeditation can occur in the blink of an eye. I wanted to say it was like even a minute beforehand, but I was like, well, I mean, 60 seconds, I mean, that's not very, fair in a court. Yeah. So I think it can happen in a blink of an eye if you know that you're going to take somebody's life, or if you're going to hurt someone, before you do it, right, that you're going to hurt them, especially if you're taking, a weapon to them or something like that. I do think that it's difficult to believe that much happened in the house. Like, because if there was some sort of a fight or altercation, I'm wondering if, um, you know, there wouldn't be evidence of something like that. Then again, it does show that Katie was awake later than she said she was. Um, so I suppose if there was an altercation that happened in the house, that could, you know, make a difference. Well, Marion's actually Seth has the CPS reports. So he had to get a lawyer and go to court to obtain those records. And then that same week that he obtained those records, one of the social workers allegedly that was on the case was let go. Right? Wasn't a good fit anymore. Type of a thing. So, oh, that's a good question. JH says, do you know what kind of monitoring KP's mom has? I know that she is supposed to, oh, sorry, guys, that was my table. I know she's supposed to be registered for life, like pretty much, or 99 years or whatever. She's a tier 3. So I don't think that she wears like any type of an ankle monitor, which, I mean, arguably, I think that those people should be tracked. Uh, but that's my opinion. Not to say they can't do crimes in their own home or whatever, wherever they have access. Um, but to the best of my knowledge, that's all she has. I mean, the thing is that Sebastian looked like he was really, really hungry. Marion asks, is it possible that his food or drink at home could have been spiked at home? When they went out for a pretty big dinner, like, I don't know, because both times that I was at the Texas Roadhouse, and maybe I ate too much or whatever, but like, I mean, I definitely wasn't hungry for anything, um, unless maybe she had dessert or something like that, maybe it was something, and I know that she wouldn't allow for him to eat another roll, so she was definitely monitoring how much food. Then again, I don't know, when you're a growing boy, it's tough too because we did hear conflicting statements about Sebastian when it came to whether the medications were curbing his appetite or whether he was eating, because Chris was saying, "Oh, he's a bottomless pit," but then he's between 113 and 120 pounds, but he's a bottomless pit. Now, I know people who are very thin who can absolutely eat their weight, and you're like, "Where'd you put it?" Right? But I don't know. There's something more to that. There's always been something with food, and Sebastian. Stupid cake pops, stinky cheese. Tennessee nurses, I forgot about the roll. Yes. When I saw the roll video again, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, and it's so funny what you can find when you watch these over and over. And I know they could be so repetitious, but this one I just wanted to kind of go over because of the words, home and actually, honestly, or how many times Katie says to be honest. I think that was the key phrase, was to be honest. So I thought it'd be interesting to go back over and look at that, as a behavioral analyst perspective to a very small degree, right? Very small and humble degree, but um all the rolls are hers. IML, freaking stingy rolls. Yeah. I mean, and they give you 4. I think they give you 4. Yeah. Every time they come. So if the table eats 4 rolls and they bring you back 4 more, I mean, that's a lot. That's plenty. And they are delicious, but I mean, there's just only so much somebody can eat in one sitting also. So, um, Sammy says, I just keep thinking of the alleged audio. Yeah, that's possibly says he never stopped talking. He just turned his head. I can't remember if it was the same as the alleged Bubba. He's already gone. Go back. Well, and see, I could vaguely hear like a wailing cry from Katie in that, but like it's so weird because I just can't believe that none of the neighbors would have come out if she was doing that. Because it was kind of, it was low, but I would think that somebody would have heard her, you know? So I still can't, I still haven't been able to confirm anything with that audio either. I wish we had a cleaner version, or I wish we could, clean it up a little bit. But you can definitely hear like the door cams that Chris had from Mob Crew. Like you could definitely hear that there was, noise, and that the cameras do pick up, obviously, the surrounding noise, because you could hear the cars whiz by, or, something like that. So, um, and also the house, the that had the footage from the driveway and things like that, their front door is kind of facing the side direction, right? To facing towards Kellen, and the back of their house is facing towards Stafford, right, where their garage is and everything. But their front door is facing Kellen. Um, So if, they might not have picked up the sound if it was the sound. I mean, I could see that being the case where um quite possibly that's why the sound is so low or dim because of that. He's worried if Sebastian is going to eat his bread. Yeah. Well, Katie just she was eating rolls like crazy. She was eating rolls like crazy. She's taking them two at a time off out of the basket, and I'm like, and he can't have one. Ugh. To be honest, I'm not telling the truth. It does, Marion. Exactly. To be honest equals I'm not telling the truth. And I think it all goes to context too, right? And how many times you're repeating that, right? Like who are you trying to convince that you're being honest or I'm being truthful, right? Um, and I think anytime we hear that, we can key in. And then also, I think it's interesting to listen for the but statements. Again, one T, not two. But it's important that but statement, right? Like if somebody says, you know, I'm sorry, but is the example we used last night. You can just throw that I'm sorry right out the window, right? Because they're making excuses after that. Hey Cinderella, good to see you. So um get the SD card and be careful. I already hit his head. Well, and I could hear Katie, like it sounded like she was crying, right? Um But I just don't see it being, gosh, I hate to say this, I don't see it being like a gory, bloody scene or anything like that because, I mean, obviously, there would have been some indication of that. Then again, there wasn't any luminol done, so yeah, don't touch my street corn, that's right, IML, that's right. Well, don't eat my rolls either, I'm pretty particular. They're always messing with my favorite foods over here, IML. It's that's another thing that's highly concerning. Um, could you imagine Chris taking a bite out of his roll and cheersing ya? Oh Lord. Lord help me. Um, well, Tori says, did anyone ever find out if the neighbor to the right of CP and KP's home were gone on vacation? I don't know if they did or not. I think that's a good question, Tori, and thank you for being here. Um, you know, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't, and I'm very much being honest with you. Um, Another thing that concerns me is the Chris Carr, their house, right? But there's got to be more footage of goings on in the neighborhood than we've seen. I could say I think I could safely say that. But I just don't think there was any footage of Sebastian, walking around the neighborhood. And there should be if he did, you know? So it's just hard to tell when they're getting a 52% score. TN Nurse says the only med that came to mind instantly if he was on clonidine, it's written for sleep, but we also give it quickly drop the BP. Oh, okay. It would definitely cause a thud if he tried to stand after taking too much. Ah, I gotcha. And that's the thing about the thud. We talked about that last night too. It'd have to be like a thud hit the ground, right? Because obviously, he could hit the wall, but wouldn't you hear that bang on then that would be a bang on the wall, right? I would think a bang on the wall and a thud would be the ground. Um, and again, that's it's just so hard to tell, right? Because I agree that could absolutely cause somebody to fall, especially if they were getting out of bed and then they went, up or something like that. Yeah, and I mean, in that event, you'd think that that mom would go check, right? I mean, that's just something you do. You check to see if they fell out. Bubba, did you? Well, she said to Nancy Grace, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed, right? And I mean, so obviously she was talking about Sebastian hitting the floor. I mean, that's a connection I'm making, TN nurse. So thank you for that because I mean, that's got to be the connection there, right? Hello, all that is unseen. So yeah, I mean that's definitely the connection because when Nancy Grace probed her about it, right? Then she's going, did you say anything to him? See, or did you check on him? Is what Nancy was asking her, and she didn't want to look like a jerk to Nancy Grace, so she says, Bubba, did you follow the bed? And then he said, no, ma'am. Right? Is the story that she gave there. But again, that would have been falling out of the bed thud or getting out of the bed and falling down right where you're at thud on the ground. Um, yeah, 52%, 52%, 50-50. Marion says she had up to 12 hours to clean up any evidence if there was any blood. Yeah, I mean, or blood evidence. Yeah, I mean, that's assuming if the event happened like right when they got home, you know. So, which I mean, it could have, you know, but here's the thing, if something like that happened, you would think that she would have made sure that she got rid of things, right, quickly. So say I mean, I just don't think that she had any time to hurt. I mean, yeah, things can happen in the blink of an eye, but if she was smart, she would have thrown away any evidence if it was premeditated. Like I think it was highly premeditated to the point where they planned every detail of this happening. I don't think it was spur of the moment. I really don't. Because again, if it was something where, I mean, obviously Sebastian was being told something or scolded, something that he didn't like. Katie wasn't pleased. However, we want to kind of crack that, but there was something going on, right? You're not in trouble. Would have made more sense if we'd been fighting. I mean, she's gonna say that in this interview. Um, and we've gone over those statements, but I wanted to key into the some of the other stuff. But yeah, I just think it was planned to the T. I do. I think there was some missteps. The shoes are a big one. Hey, Selena Dixon. So and Valley Gale says rumored in the Guthrie case the pool guy came, other cases the cleaning lady, gardener, etc. How does that happen? Well, in Valley Gale, here's the thing in the Guthrie case. I mean, I just don't see how that guy got her out of there without. I mean, where's the getaway driver? Where's the car that he drove up in waiting? I mean, it's not like he's going to carry her, down the road to a van that he parked around the corner even. So, I mean, there's got to be more than one person involved in this. And again, especially if they did something harmful to Nancy to subdue her to get her out of the house, maybe not take her life, but, hurt her or drug her or something like that. It'd be very difficult to carry her out. I saw her estimated weight is 150 pounds. 150 pounds of, dead weight. That's quite a bit to carry for that little guy that we saw on the door cam. Yeah, that case is really bizarre. And I'm always praying for her to be brought home to their family. I feel very bad for their family. It's sad. IML said we all still believe most likely those lights in the backyard were from them, right? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think if Sebastian made it home, that's when that's when he was taken out, I think. I mean, I still do believe that. Now, if he didn't make it home at all, there's a couple places that he could have been handed off at, but then again, there's cameras all over by the Texas Roadhouse. I mean, there's cameras everywhere over there, and it's all fenced in, so I just don't know if there'd be the access there. Tori says CP said one of the neighbors were not home that night. I'm talking about the neighbor that actually lives on the side of the house with the bathroom window. Oh, okay. The one that has like the gazebo thing. I'm trying to think back to the neighborhood. Yeah, there's always a nugget of truth in every lie, Marion. I agree. Totally. IML. That's funny. Um don't steal my corn. Don't put your don't put your old corn on my new corn. It was too clean for an accident, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't think in this, and especially how long it's gone without any indication of what's happened next. I mean, I'm sure the police have more, right? I mean, I absolutely 100% believe that, and I always have. I mean, there was times where I was thinking, are they are they doing anything? You know what I mean? And you get frustrated, and I think that anybody's going to feel that frustration. But then again, you think about it, you're like, well, they've got to have more than what they're letting on, and they usually do, especially when you look at, even the probable cause for little Michael Monkey Vaughn. Um, it's just gobs and gobs of evidence, right? And they knew all kinds of shit. Night court. They knew all kinds of crap, you know, right off the bat. They knew all kinds of crap. So, hello, Stacy Michelle. Good to see you. Thank you for your prayers and for Sebastian and Seth. Thank you. And thanks for being here. So let's look into this interview. Hey, Shauna, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Hey, so let's look into this interview. Now, this is going to be the first one, right, that they did publicly where we can see them. And let me make sure I'm not backed up. I'll just mute a little bit here. Okay, yeah, this is where I'm still talking. So this video, I made it when Sebastian was missing 37 days, right? So I was a little bit late to it. Okay. So was there anything that could have made Sebastian upset enough to walk off, right? And right off the bat, okay, so Chris and Katie's facial expressions, in my opinion, are not good. Okay. And not even that they're not good. It's just that they're not conducive with two parents who are grieving, who are shocked, who are worried, right? I see more of a worry about what the reporter is about to ask Crispy than what he's worried about in terms of his stepson being missing, right? He doesn't look distraught. He looks defensive. He looks guilty. Okay, in my opinion. Now we have Katie, right, who is Sebastian's biological mother, right? You could tell they look a lot alike. And she looks again like defensive. I see defensive behavior, right? And then we're also going to see some things that can be interpreted as a nervousness or a self-soothing behavior with the rocking back and forth. Now, Katie does show some emotions in her interview this time around. So let's watch.
Anything that happened that day that you think back and there might have been a reason he was possibly upset or something outside that could have enticed him to go outside? Was there anything that came to mind?
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I haven't been able to figure it out.
Okay, so I typed in guilty into my GIF finder, and this is what it came out with, and this is what Chris looks like, in my opinion. I just typed in the word guilty. Okay. This little guy comes up and he looks guilty. Like he did something. Right. Uh-oh, I did something I was supposed to do. Oh, so does Chris, right? So this is where Katie goes, we were combing over the weeks. We're combing over the weeks. And we just don't know what happened, right? But it's, again, it doesn't sound like shock or like Katie is worried. It sounds more like she's being defensive, like, we don't know what happened. We don't know. Again, guilty kid cookie jar scenario. Shauna, thank you so much for becoming a new member. And I was gonna say, okay, so you renewed. I was gonna say, well, thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of the Dragon Tribe. Tia Nurse says, why did she not mention the garage at all? Neither of them mentioned the garage at all. Even when discussing where all she looked, you didn't think into your two garage. You didn't think to look into the 2-car garage. That is really interesting, Tia Nurse. We never hear about her going upstairs or in the garage. Yeah, I have never heard her talk about looking. She said, I went in all the closets. I looked in all the closets, right? Because they were also saying that Sebastian liked to go in his closet and play Legos and stuff, which is understandable. Like little kids do that, or kids do that. And there might have been certain things that Sebastian still liked to do that he did when he was younger. But I also remember Seth saying that a lot of the behaviors that they were describing about Sebastian were behaviors that he did when he was little and that he had kind of grown out of at this point. So yes, she's right in the Arizona border. And I think they ruled out like any connection to her going over into Mexico. Thanks, Tia Nurse. Yeah, defensive, definitely defensive. Both of them, not like shocked or worried, right? Which you would think you'd kind of feel both of those emotions, or you might just like be dumbfounded, right? Like, I don't know how he could have gotten out of the house, or why would he leave, that sort of thing. But they do vocalize those concerns. I don't know why he walked out that door.
He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed that he seemed like he was in a good mood. He was behaving.
Okay. So he was in a good mood. He was behaving. And look at Chris. It's like he's listening to her tell the story and he keeps nodding his head, right? And going along with it. Yeah. As if she's doing a good job of telling a rehearsed story, in my opinion. And I still think that. I thought that on the first take, and I think that still.
It'd make more sense if we'd been fighting.
All right. And then of course I put this lady like, what? Because this is how I reacted. Right. Listen to Katie and watch Chris's reaction, right? Like he immediately goes over and looks at her like, you were not supposed to say that. Or why, Yes, he was behaving. Yes. Make more sense if we'd been fighting, and then Chris is gonna try to smooth it over here, because that's kind of what Chris does. And a major reason that there's very little interviews where Katie is able to speak with someone one-on-one, publicly or otherwise, because it's just too problematic for Chris. He can't be there to, but then also Chris has been in situations that his mouth has put him into, and Katie has smoothed it over for him. So again, when we talk about their statement being analyzed as a unit, I think that's really, really important to key into, because they are telling the same story, right? Because it's got to be It's got to be rehearsed. I still think it was rehearsed. Um, she shakes her head no when she's talking. Yeah. Yeah, and she's not looking at the interviewer, she's kind of looking down. That's another thing that Katie doesn't make great eye contact with other people. Um, and he is listening with his eyes. Yes, Tori, you can tell he is. He's like very much listening to her tell the story. Yep, yep. And then all of a sudden, nope, what'd you say? Like, oh, hey, hold on a second. That wasn't supposed to happen. Makes more sense if we've been fighting. I know, I know. And the thing is that again, when I saw Sebastian, I wasn't like very much keying into the autism as much as just, he looks like he's got good wits about himself, right? And things like that. His teachers had also said that if you saw him, you would think he has no deficit. So I was interested in that. But, um, and we've talked about it before, they don't mention that Sebastian has a chromosome deletion, right? They never mention that at all. It's always autism, autism, autism. Again, when Katie was on the Reels interview, she was talking about Sebastian is autistic. It's like the first thing she said to describe her son. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, and it was a newer diagnosis. So yeah, and make more sense if we've been fighting is a strange thing. Um, yeah, these interviews are great, Shauna. They are. They're fantastic. Because they're well, this is right when everything went down, and this is the first time they're coming out and kind of telling people face to face what happened, because before this they were telling the news they didn't want to come on and talk. So, yeah, these are good ones. And again, Chris is going to smooth it over but kind of make it worse.
Or he's been in trouble, but he hasn't even been in trouble. So, I mean, the $1 million question, why did he go? And the other $1 million question is how.
All right. So, I mean, this right here, I want to know what Susan Constantine thinks of this one, because this is what I think of it. Okay. Well, I don't know. Who cares? Who knows? Big deal. You know what I mean? Like, shrug it off. That's the way I look at it. But it seems like Chris just wants to kind of sweep it under the rug. Um, and act like, oh no, but nothing to see here. Nothing to see. No, don't worry. So Sammy says, yep, look at his eyes. He's staying he's just checklist. Yeah, check mark, right? Good job, Katie, right? Uh-huh, uh-huh. And then what? And she didn't even say arguing. She said fighting. He panicked. Yeah, that's a good point when we hear arguing versus fighting. And that's part of what Susan was talking about on the panel too, but they weren't catching it, was that like that when the language starts to deteriorate, right, from argue, because argue is like you're having a disagreement, you're talking it out, right? Fighting could be physically, right? I mean, you could be fighting back and forth yelling at each other too, but very interesting, right? But that puts another level of aggression or hostility in the air. Yeah, absolutely. Great catch, Sammy. Christmas Swan, good to see you. Does Seth and Katie have any communications working together for Sebastian? Unfortunately they don't. And unfortunately it was said even to Heather, Seth's PI, that wasn't going to happen. um I have a similar scenario when it comes to um Devlin's biological mom and then the family um who Devlin was raised by and adopted by. um there's just no way that they're going to come together, unfortunately. I mean, I pray that they do, and I could be wrong, but at this point it's not something that I'm willing to push or press, because it's just, hey, let's just find Devlin, right? Let's just find Sebastian. Katie and Chris are able-bodied. They can absolutely do the most to look for their son, right? That's what they can be doing. Seth can do the absolute most to find his son, and that's what he should be doing as well. They don't need to go out together and do that. It would be very nice and ideal if they could or if they would, but I mean, honestly, at this point, we just need people to go out and look. We need people to put together searches, to pass out flyers, whatever people can do, say prayers. There's just so many things that we can be doing to spread awareness for Sebastian. And they can be doing that independently. They don't have to work together. It's probably better that they don't. And when you're dealing with someone who fits in with narcissistic personality disorder so well as Chris does, they don't work well with others, right? They just don't. Um yeah, and Shauna, I don't even know if he did pass a polygraph. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. And I know that's probably me being very you know, uh stubborn in my way of thinking, but I mean, I would love to see some kind of proof because we've never seen it. Um, I don't recall the TBI ever coming out, and that's another thing. I think they should, if they did. I think the TBI should come out and say, "Look, the parents passed their polygraphs." Um, you know, if they did, and that would alleviate a lot of crap. But because they haven't, it's tough, and but I do believe that Seth did because he was, on Nancy Grace. Um, Yeah, rocking back and forth is soothing somebody's self. Yeah. Yeah, yet she does it on cue. Well, and it is I agree with that. I agree with that, Shauna. It is very intentional rather than something, because a lot of times people don't even realize that they're rocking until someone points it out, or something like that, because it is it's in uh to kind of help you, calm down. But doing it on cue raises a lot of questions, you know? It just does.
What about social media? Is there anything that, anyone he could have contacted? I understand he was somewhat of a gamer, or what was he? There was a video game he loved, right?
Minecraft. He loves Minecraft. The game that he has is not online. He has the Switch.
Okay. So he has the Nintendo Switch, right? And we were talking about this last night, and Seth was so kind as to kind of let us know that it was not hooked up to the internet. So with the Nintendo Switch, there's like game cartridges that you can play the games on there, and it doesn't have to be hooked up to like a Wi-Fi signal or something like that. I know like some of the games that we play on our phones, like even I think Candy Crush, you have to be um, attached to the internet because it's on an app and that sort of thing. So um yeah, oh gosh, I will say some of the so this interview, Shauna, is really more mild and more informative. When they go on, well, because it's more formal, right? They're going on the news, so they're on their best behavior. So these are like the church interviews, and then we have like the rough tough queen bee interviews where Chris and Katie are having drinks on the panel and playing cards. Like, you can hear them fluttering cards in the background. Now, is there anything wrong with drinking and playing cards? No. If you're an adult, do it up. But the problem is they're not taking the opportunity to talk about Sebastian. And when Sebastian was brought up, they were threatening to beat the hell out of the panel guest, or I wish I could, or it was all of this you know, I guess just awful mentality that you see come out, and Chris and Katie are fine with it, right? Because that's their protection. Um and yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Not to mention, there's an interview where Chris is calling in to these podcasts, right? And he had called into a couple of them, but then he calls into Cluminati's podcast. And she's well aware that this is going to happen, right? It's super rehearsed and staged and everything. But she's acting like she has no idea who it is, right? And Chris proceeds to make all of these different like voice impressions, right? Into the phone on the interview, and they're laughing and everything like that. But then he starts acting like Sling Blade, right? And it was just a whole horrible situation, in my opinion, for the stepfather of a missing child to do something like that. It was like nothing I've ever seen before, except for maybe Don Wells, right? So I was like, did they take out of the playbook for Don, Don and Candace? Why are they acting just like them, right? They're just like a high class version of Don and Candace, in my opinion, right? I'm sure Chris P's to sit down and stuff too. Um, but, um, so there's something stinky in the Stinkfoot house. Yeah, I think so. I think so too, Marion. Yeah, absolutely. The whole paragraph just said, "Man, you could pull that apart." Is that why they aren't cleared? Well, yeah, I think so. I think maybe it is why they haven't been cleared, Shauna. Because I mean, if they had been, look, if there had been some kind of footage that the police had showing Sebastian leaving the neighborhood, I bet you they would be cleared. Even if they wanted to keep that close to the vest and never share it with us, I would think they would clear Chris and Katie, because they would think, okay, Sebastian walked, he ran away, or something like that. So yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely. They were trying to make Sebastian seem like he was a handful, right? Tennessee Nurse says yes, and on Patrol Live or whatever it was called, she says, "quote He's a sweet boy, but he can be temperamental if overstimulated. Why did anything? Oh, excuse me. Why did anything after that but matter?" Exactly. And that's a great point right there. And a great example of that. So yeah, forget about he's a sweet boy. He can be temperamental, right? If he's overstimulated. But if you know that overstimulation causes him to be temperamental, why would you pack his day full of all of these activities, so to speak, right? Because the story is that, they woke up that morning, made the spaghetti pancakes, and they called family on the phone to brag about what they had made, so I'm guessing it's a FaceTime showing off what they had made for breakfast. And then they went to go pick up Chris's niece, their niece, and they headed over to BJ's, right? And it's a wholesale grocery store that had just opened up in the area. And then they said that Sebastian liked to eat like the samples, and who doesn't? So it was exciting and fun for him, right? And then they got a colossal popcorn. We learned that. And then they ended up leaving their niece with uh, Sebastian's aunt, right? Or Chris's sister, again, because they met them at BJ's. And so then Katie and Sebastian head home, and then they're going to go out bowling and to dinner. Now, some people can say that maybe dinner wasn't planned or whatever, because obviously they didn't get to bowl as they planned. So maybe they decided to go out to dinner instead of, because they didn't bowl and they weren't staying there. But I mean, that Strike and Spare is like an indoor amusement park, and they have food there, that they could have eaten dinner there. But I guess they instead decided to go to the Texas Roadhouse. So, you know, He is a pissy pants. Shauna. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He's a real pissy pants. And and it's like he gets overly angry, and sometimes it's, in my opinion, he's feigning anger, right? Like he gets overly angered about stuff that's not even a big deal. But other things that he should be angry about, he's not. Like the fact that they haven't found Sebastian yet, right? Any parent would be at a 2-year mark. Um, they would be upset, right? At the very least upset. Maybe they're not hating on the police or anything, and I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that, it would be frustrating knowing that your child's been out there missing for 2 years, especially in this day and age when we have all these technologies and everybody's on camera everywhere we go. It's extremely hard to believe that a child could just vanish into thin air. No footage, no nothing. It's insane. So, and again, Chris, focusing back quickly.
We don't, because of how social media can be, he doesn't have accessibility to communicate with folks on internet. I mean, we have a firm belief that we just don't feel that right now that he's capable of having that kind of responsibility.
Okay, so Chris looks very worried about this, right? Like he's over explaining. I mean, you're their parents, right? And then Katie's looking off like in a daze, And again, considerations, maybe she's on some sort of, downer, because she's distraught, arguably, or maybe she just takes those as a regular regimen for depression or what have you. But Chris is absolutely over explaining this internet situation, and it's always been odd to me because I'm like, wait a minute, what about Sebastian's friends? What do you mean he didn't have any friends, that would come over or that he would talk to, or go down to Johnny's down the street? I mean, come on. um you know and I get a lot not allowing him to talk online, but complete isolation from his peers outside of school is a huge red flag for me. It always has been. This is my reaction to this interview very close to the time that it was put out. And of course, I was new at making videos, so it took me a while to make this. But, I've gotten a lot better with it. So, well, yeah. And, Valley Gal, even more disgusting as of late. Chris was talking on Queen Bee, and Terry Lynn was saying that Chris is more of a father than Seth was. But we know the truth is that Seth was taking Sebastian out to play Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, and they would do fun activities, and he was able to go and meet with other people and play games of strategy and have a good time. Right, and he was also able to use his phone to call, his mom and his dad if he needed to. Um, Chris and Katie also gave Sebastian a lot more, freedom, we found out later, as he was a latchkey kid, right? Where he would come home from school, he'd put the garage code, or excuse me, the, front door code in, and that's how he'd get access to his home. And Katie would come home, according to the neighbor, Sebastian would get home around 3 o'clock, and I guess Katie would get home around 4:30, 5 o'clock is what I heard. And so obviously, he was allowed to do that, but he wasn't allowed to go down the street or go, hang out with one of the kids that had a pool in the neighborhood or anything like that, ride bikes, anything. Just very bizarre that they isolated Sebastian. It seems purposefully.
So, I mean, his phone is locked down, his computers, his gaming. He doesn't have a gamer tag. He doesn't have online capabilities with games. I mean,
We've combed every electronic. I
mean, we've cooperated with all the authorities as far as anything they've asked us to provide, we've provided, and still just don't have any answers.
Okay, so everything that they've asked, we've provided. We don't have any answers. And again, Katie's not looking at the interviewer. She's often, Miss Space Cadet over here. And then Chris is looking at her very intently, like, believe me, believe me, believe me. But then again, he's also shrugging around and, oh, I don't know, who knows? He's just scared. Well, who cares? I don't know. When is this going to be over with, kind of thing.
Did he have any friends that could have possibly contacted him in some way on his phone?
All his friends at school have been questioned to my knowledge, and none of them knew anything.
Okay, see, and again, he looked over at Katie, looks over at the interviewer to see if she's buying it, right?
So this big question mark. He's vanished.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one can figure out where or why. All right, so let's talk too about the relationship involved, because the biological father is very much involved in Sebastian's life as well.
Yes, ma'am. Very much.
Right. And
all right, so very much involved in Sebastian's life, but Katie failed to tell CPS about that. But the first thing they want to tell the general public is, oh yeah, he's very involved. We're the best of friends, right? We're gonna hear Chris mess up his credibility really soon here too, if it hasn't already been wrecked. But they immediately answer and shake their heads affirmatively. Like they're not very convincing, but they're absolutely jumping to answer that question, And I love Angela. I don't have a headache. I'm just preparing.
And how would you describe that relationship, the two of them and the four of you?
All right. So here's the co-parenting, right? And again, Katie's not making eye contact. She's just staring off into space.
It's relatively good. I mean,
until she looks over at her, says it's relatively good. And then look at Chris with his sticking out his tongue, right? Licking his lips, sticking out his tongue.
We talk regularly. He talks to his son on a regular basis, sees him on a regular basis. He's involved in school and therapy. And I mean, he doesn't have any extracurricular activities, but I can tell you now, if he did, his dad would be in the front row.
Right. And then, Chris is not smiling or laughing or doesn't have a smile on his face. He's just sitting there nodding his head, and doesn't look happy about it either.
I mean, two different households. And the communication between the three of us is great. I mean, yes, we're just like every parent. We all have our disagreements, but in the end, we come together as a team and we work and we come up with solutions that as we best see fit. I mean, I'm almost in contact with him almost daily.
I'm almost in contact with him almost daily. How are you almost in contact with someone almost daily? Make it make sense. So, and they do that a lot too, Marion. They are absolutely they're absolutely saying something different than their body language is suggesting, right? So when they say yes, they're shaking their head no, and vice versa. And yes, it's just not believable. I bet you did comb every electronic to delete all the bullying. Is it normal for your stepdad to question on Google, in my opinion? Well, and I really think that he was looking into that because of the family, not so much schoolmates doing bullying, So, yeah, maybe she's distracted about the other missing children. Well, and what's funny, Valley Gal, is that when Nancy Grace asked her, why do you not make eye contact? Why are you not showing emotion? Why, all of this? Katie said it's because she's cried too much, and she's cried nonstop and she's all cried out pretty much, right? But as we can see here, this is right after her son's going missing, and this is the first interview that they'll show. And don't forget, when they did the OnlyHands interview, they were saying that they were too emotional to be on camera, and so that's why they didn't want to be on camera, you know? So, and again, why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5, right? Because I don't know what this is. I am almost, right? So what he's saying, Chris is saying, I myself am almost in contact with Seth almost daily, right? Doesn't make sense.
Let's talk about Sebastian. Tell me about Sebastian. How would you describe
You see him going, no? Tell us about Sebastian. I'll back that up a little bit.
Let's talk about Sebastian.
See that? Let's talk about Sebastian, shaking his head no.
Tell me about Sebastian. How would you describe him?
Sweet, stubborn. He loves to help. He loves running, and he loves to play his games and his fidgets and Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now. Favorite color is green.
Does he love music?
Oh, God, he loves music.
An eclectic taste. An eclectic. I mean,
You know, and I think the worst person that could have ever prepped Chris and Katie for this interview was Duchess for the missing. Because when they're asking, to tell me about Sebastian, they're saying questions like, something that we would ask here on the internet, like what's his favorite color, so we could put green hearts in the chat, right? Katie, the favorite color is green. Okay, dummy. Sorry. It's just annoying.
everybody knows Eye of the Tiger to Eddie Vedder.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we got Pearl Jam on one hand, we've got Survivor on the other.
Oh, sorry. I think I clicked this wrong spot here. Okay, yeah. And again, loves playing rummy, loves to play games. He fidgets, right? And then he also, Katie will tell us about the shiny pennies. I wanted to point that out as well.
And Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now. Favorite color is green.
Does he love music?
Oh, God, he loves music.
An eclectic taste. An eclectic. I mean, from everybody knows Eye of the Tiger to Eddie Vedder.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we got Pearl Jam on one hand, we've got Survivor on the other over here, we've got Taylor Swift, and
He's got a big crush on her. I mean, country, rock,
no hip hop.
classic.
We don't allow the hip hop.
Well, he doesn't really
Well, I
get
say
into it
rap and
anyways.
things.
You mentioned he loved running. So did he love the outdoors at all? I mean, would something outside that was somewhat outdoorsy be?
And then I do think that Katie is self-soothing here because this is where she's rocking back and forth. Even though it's not stressful questions that are being asked, it's just tell me about your son. She's rocking back and forth.
Enticing to him or pull him outdoors?
He loves, like, when we were in California and the school had this lap thing to gain money. It was a fundraiser. And every year I did this many laps. I did this many laps. I mean, I've got t-shirts where they would write on this back. Every time the kids went around, they'd mark a mark on the back and they'd keep running. And he just had marks all the way across his back. He likes playgrounds. He hates being dirty. He don't like being dirty.
All right. He doesn't like being dirty, right? And Katie's just talking away. And this is the problem with Katie, is that she's a horrible liar. So she's just talking away. And then she just drops a bomb like this, right? He hates to be dirty. So that means he wouldn't leave without his shoes willingly. Hello, Katie, but good job.
Yeah, he's not your tomboy style child where he goes outside and plays in the mud.
He loves animals, but he's terrified of bugs.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
even a fly, and he's like,
Let's talk too, because he's highly functioning. I know you all have described him as having a form of autism.
he does.
But just describe that to our viewers too, as far as his way of thinking of things and maybe how determined he was about certain things or his mindset.
He
He's got a stubborn mindset. If he believes it's this,
he gets on a one-man track, and he is just
Yeah.
on it, and he is all about it.
but I mean, he's very smart.
He
I mean,
can talk.
he can play chess. He can beat adults in chess.
Wow.
So he's
Okay.
He loves playing games.
What about now?
Okay, so again, you could just tell that there's moments in this interview where Katie's smoothing it over for Chris. So we were talking about that earlier. And whenever it comes to describing Sebastian, what he likes, what he enjoys, who he is, how he is, right? Even when it comes to the autism, Chris is sitting there and he's looking above, he's trying to recall, he's like, like he's being asked a question, in a game show or something. And, it should probably come freely, but also, maybe take a step back and let Katie tell about her child. And she does seem to kind of try to smooth it over. And, I'm proud of my child, but you can tell by the look on Chris's face, there's no pride. Again, he looks defensive. He looks scared, in my opinion. He looks like he's guilty and that he doesn't want people to figure out that he's lying, and again, that's a problem.
Navigation, like, did he have a sense of direction? Do you think he could have possibly even hitched a ride or gotten a ride on a bus or some sort of transportation?
Okay, so look at both of them, right? They're about to both talk at the same time because, in my opinion, they came up with this story together and they were considering what people may ask them, especially because they waited to do any type of interviews like this until after they got their feet wet on Duchess. And again, I think that she was the worst person to prep them for this because she allowed for them to get away with some of the things that they got away with on her show, that being face to face with Holly Thompson isn't going to be the same thing, right? It's not something that you can prepare for probably without a lawyer, in my opinion. So they're both ready to talk. Katie is like very nonchalant. She's not wondering like, oh yeah, maybe he could go, or definitely not. No, I mean, no, he couldn't do that, right? She's thinking about what she's going to say, and then they also start saying it almost at the same time.
That is a speculation that we don't have an answer for. Just directionally, he knows.
Right? That's a speculation that we don't have an answer for. Katie goes, I mean, yeah, okay, Katie.
He could guide you from our house to his dad's house.
Yeah.
He could get from like this house. I think he can make it up to Culver's ice cream.
He can go to Culver's.
Oh, the boy loves
He
a
knows
malt.
where Culver's is because Culver's has malt.
Uh-huh.
He loves malt, extra malt. Every time, extra malt.
Now, how far away does his dad live?
Clarksville. His dad lives up by Clarksville.
So he could guide someone all the way to Clarksville.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a pretty keen sense of direction, at least with certain things.
Familiar routes.
Yes.
Familiar routes. Okay.
Familiar
I
routes.
mean, if I took him another route going
He
this way,
takes
he would
it.
not know it.
He goes up there so often that
If you take anyone a route they've never taken before, they wouldn't know it, dipshit. Sorry. I love how they, Chris is sitting there like, oh no, he couldn't do this, he could, and that sort of thing. And just the night before, they were telling Duchess and her whole audience and anyone who was listening that Sebastian was 15, but he was much younger in his mind. And Katie said, Katie and Chris were both saying how Sebastian's mind has not caught up to his body due to his autism.
He knows how to get to his daddies. We know that.
His dad works with him as far as, well, we're going this way, we're going that way, and keeps the same thing, and it works out. So,
let's talk too, because earlier, Chris, you and I were talking, and you were saying that there are a lot of people who are harassing both of you. What of any of that do you want to address? What do you want to say to any of these people?
Just that you don't know, and I don't wish you to ever know.
I would say it like this: everybody has an opinion, and it's perfectly okay to have that opinion, but you're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts. If they have questions, all they have to do is ask.
And I pray genuinely that no one ever goes through this.
Okay, so I also always found that to be very odd that Chris and Katie are talking about how they would genuinely never wish this upon anyone else, right? Who says that when your child's missing? Who cares about what you're feeling when your child's missing? How do you even have the time to go online and look to see what other people are saying or thinking about you when your child's missing? You should be worried about spreading awareness about your child being missing, not catching every single social media comment where somebody is saying that you have guilt. Because if you don't have guilt, why would you care? Why are you even going to waste your time? Right? That's always just been very odd.
Just be kind to people. I mean, it's real simple.
Right. But he's not been kind to anyone. It is simple to be kind to people, Chris, but you've never been kind. You were rude and entitled on Duchess for the missing.
There are some people who have been talking, because I know this is part of the harassment. Is there anything you want to address about this child custody situation?
All right. So that's funny, right? But it's a nervous laugh. It's not like he's laughing, haha, it's funny, right? I don't think that. I think that he is embarrassed, right? This is causing some embarrassment, right? And then look at Katie's face, right? Because she knows that there is a heated custody battle and that, maybe that could be a reason why people are looking further into why they want everyone to think that Sebastian just disappeared, which I think is valid.
With the previous.
So I have a current case that is ongoing in another state. We've requested that case to be sealed because there are some individuals who have taken upon themselves to put stuff out there that they don't quite know, which all they have to do is ask. I'll tell you.
Okay, and at this point, JLR had been uncovering and exposing what was going on, and that's who he's referring to, right? JLR, in my opinion, is who Chris is referring to right now and saying, oh, this person doesn't know. He's scared of one person, right? Instead of just coming out and saying, yes, this is going on, right? Or saying, I don't have a comment. Those two are separate issues. They're unrelated, right? But he doesn't say that. Instead, he tries to discredit the other person who's telling the truth.
But because of that, it has nothing to do with our son. It has nothing to do with the situation. I just people would respect that and then keep an open mind.
See, but now also he's saying keep an open mind, right? So no, it's unrelated, but keep an open mind, right? And then Katie's still off in her own little world, dissociating.
Totally different.
If Sebastian was able to watch this, and maybe he's watching this as it airs, and if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh gosh, that we love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
Okay, so very performative, in my opinion. That's why I had the little lady over here performing, right? And she's going, and you're not in trouble. We just want you home, right? And this is where she starts using home, 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 right? But again, she's also been primed by Duchess for the missing the night before.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community.
To probably everyone in the community. But those are the people that you're saying are harassing you, right? Because those are the people that were side-eyeing you first was the community, right? And then the more people that were understanding the story and you not coming out publicly speaking until now, where we could actually see and read your body language, and then you're not doing so well. You know, those are not reasons for anyone to harass anybody, but it's absolutely a reason for people to ask questions, right? Want more clarification.
But there's no malice, that we just want our boy home. Badly. But
That mama's heart. I know it's
okay. So before Holly gets all smushy on us, I want to play this out again.
Our boy home.
We just want our boy home, right? Here's where Chris starts saying it. And then watch what he does here. Bad, right? Badly. And then looks at Katie. And then, you know, I don't know, shakes his head. No. But, and then he, again, puts his tongue out. Deception. Right there. He's lying.
that mama's heart. I know it's daddy's too, but I feel like there's always that extra special bond. Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at.
Okay, I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at. And Sammy, no one asked about malice, right? No one asked anything about malicious intent or anything like that, did they? He just said there's no malice. You know, the over explaining. And little Miss Sharon says, what? No malice when CP was belting Sebastian. Exactly. Exactly. And the heavy punishments, the isolation, you know, he wants friends, but yet he's not allowed to use his phone, right?
Let's talk about the community, because I want you all to know, even my church body, I mean, we're all praying for his safe return quickly. What do you?
I mean, look at Chris's face when she says that. Our whole entire church body has been, and she's almost in tears, right? Has been praying for you guys. And Chris just looks over and dissociates from the situation again, like Katie does, as if this lady isn't pouring her heart out to him and saying, hey, we're praying for you guys.
What does they do to the community?
He just says, yep, okay. And what would you say to the community? And here goes Katie with a thank you.
With everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten.
I would not have imagined how far this has gotten. Well, imagine it, Chris.
What do you all want to say to the community?
Thank you.
With everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten, but there's no way to repay.
Okay, and I said, hey, Chris, you didn't think anyone was going to look for Sebastian. Notice how he caught himself there. It's like my third video I ever made. I got your number, Chris.
Gratitude, the love that we've felt from the community, the prayers, but thank you.
But
From the
don't
bottom of
stop
our hearts.
looking.
Yeah, please.
My son is somewhere.
This ain't over until he's home.
So we have, let's mention, let's get on the search itself, because we know thousands of miles have basically been traced and retraced. We've got hundreds, we've got volunteers, we've got law enforcement from within the state, from without, outside of the state. I mean, do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't know how much more they could do, but we're grateful for everything they have done.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
Okay, and then right here, she makes eye contact, I'm assuming with the interviewer, because that's kind of where you can see her eyes going, right, every single time. That's why I'm assuming that. But she's looking at her like with those dead eyes that Katie has. Just absolutely, unequivocally creepy.
They will. They will.
He's out there somewhere. So it's basically, it's one day at a time, getting through this and bringing him home. What is the reaction to the fact that somehow his image, he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at or where he's gone.
Okay, so the first 7 days, they were looking through the camera footage, and immediately they did this, right? And even on day 2, Eric Craddock said that they were absolutely going to crack this case open with camera footage. But Katie is sitting here on day 8 talking about how they don't have any camera footage of her son at all. Right? So they aren't looking at this point. The search has been scaled back. I know that they asked them to stay put, right? And I get that the neighborhood didn't have street lights, right? And it doesn't have street lights to my knowledge, even to this day. But people had a lot of motion sensor lights in the neighborhood, and a lot of people's homes were well lit because of the fact that they didn't have street lights. So I just think that that's something to note, because even at first when I heard that, I'm like, it's dark everywhere at night, Katie, Sammy says ding 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 ding, that's everything. In my opinion, they thought a kid with autism ran off, probably drowned, will come and go on the news in 2 days, and then everybody will move on with their life until, right, exactly, Sammy, they were not anticipating this at all. They just weren't. And that's why, even to this day, 2 years later, Chris does not want us to gather for Sebastian or do anything for Sebastian, right? Because he doesn't want awareness to build. He doesn't want pressure to build, because he never even thought he'd be dealing with any of this, let alone 2 years later, and people are still saying, "Where's Sebastian? What is the truth?" Right? Absolutely. I think this is one of the most real statements that we've ever gotten out of Chris and Katie. So definitely only dark there. Yeah, and Marion, I mean, and like I said, I will concede that they don't have the street lights, right? That most neighborhoods would have to light the way, kind of a thing, or to make it more brightly lit. But a lot of those houses, even in this picture we have here, I mean, look how bright those garage lights are. So that's a camera, a Ring camera from across the street, and that, they have lights lining the driveway, lining the around the house. They have a big bright light on their door. They have all these, really, really bright lights around the above their garage, rather. So absolutely hard to believe. And then Chris and Katie's lights were all turned off. It was completely blacked out around their house that night. No cameras. I mean, come on.
I know that they're looking, and I went asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores, to check, even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And I understand there was a request for video, any sort of footage of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now. That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this.
All right. Yeah. Did he just say pervy? I mean, come on, right? So, I'm listening to this interview trying to take this man seriously, right? And then he says, I just don't think that's something we are pervy to, and then look at his dumbass face. Okay. I'm sorry. And the more Chris opens his mouth and tries to threaten folks into believing the autistic kids just run away story, yeah, exactly, the more interested the public became. I agree with that. And also him not addressing, the fact that, look, there wasn't a reason why we were ever trying to, quote unquote, get rid of my stepson, our son, Katie's son, whatever, right, in order for my daughter to come live here. Because I think that was a very probative question that everyone had. And don't get me wrong, not everybody wants to get into their family court business, right? Especially if it's unrelated. I get that. But I think that the more that we found out that was quite possibly a bigger part to it, right? Because then Chris started going on podcasts and talking about how he didn't want Sebastian around his daughter, right? So it was automatically blame Sebastian theory, right? And Chris and Katie have used this theory to their advantage. He just ran away, blame Sebastian. He's an autistic kid. Autistic kids run away. I agree, Sammy. Absolutely. No camera footage to prove where he's at. Who says prove? Think about that. That's a very good catch there too, TN Nurse. Absolutely. There's nothing to prove. And then especially when we see old Terry Bowersox in the middle of the road talking about prove it, Well, no, I think he was in his vehicle. Because he was following Bullhorn Betty around like a very strange scoundrel of a man. Hello, Justice for New. Good to see you. It's like they're telling Craddock to prove it. Oh my gosh. And I have to say, if I was the police, I would be livid with these two. I just really would. Every time you turn around, they're doing a podcast and acting a fool. Oh my gosh. I would be so angry. Was there a goal not to be able to prove anything on camera? Well, I think that Chris and Katie absolutely talked all of this out and kind of it was really well thought out. I'm not saying they didn't make any mistakes or anything like that, because I think they did. I know they did. But I also think that they were trying to get ahead of things. So, what questions are we going to be asked, sort of thing? What are people going to be able to tell in the neighborhood, especially if they're playing out whatever planner or whatever they were planning on doing that night. But I do think whatever it was premeditated. Whether they were like, okay, let's get Sebastian to a school, um, or let's hide him out, or something more nefarious than that, which I'm hoping that I'm wrong about that too, you know? So, but that's a great point. Prove it.
Point with law enforcement, that is something I would definitely direct back to them. But I mean, there's all kinds of requests out there. There's thousands of hours of video that they are combing, and we're just hoping they'll find something.
And I know this is so sensitive. What do you say to people who inevitably end up pointing their finger back at you? We were talking earlier, and I mean, are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided. So cooperation is there. I mean,
Right. Cooperation is there. Shaking his head no, making this exact face as this guy is, right? Um, but he's saying that he is cooperating, but he's shaking his head no. Okay, now what do you want from me, right? Very smug. Finally nods affirmatively, matching what he's saying, indicating that he's done talking, in my
What do you want
opinion.
to say to our viewers? Anybody who's watching, we've got a lot of folks in this community and in other counties just throughout the state as well. What do you want to say to them?
Help spread the word and keep searching, and thank you. And
Okay, and yes, I agree, Mark Klein. Good to see you very fully. Yeah, very fully. Yeah, Chris, and that's why I was, putting up the dumb flags for Chris, because I'm like, this guy is not very intelligent, right? I didn't know he was in the military before this. So I'm like, okay, well then he's got to have some more intelligence in that, way. But I was really weirded out by a lot of his comments, and they were big red flags, especially when he says pervy, and saying it as if it's or almost always in contact with Seth. I'm a cupcake too. Good to see you. Oh, and thank you so much for the uh Cash App too. I appreciate that. I wanted to say thank you to you. Stop the show. She says, KP just said to go back and look for footage before he went missing. Yeah, so they were looking through a bunch of the footage, like from before Sebastian went missing. They changed it. Now I'm just assuming that she's talking about when the police came out and said, look at camera footage from Sunday to Monday. Because I think initially they were just looking for overnight, but then more so people were asking about footage from further back. Because again, I don't think that, Katie's story was very believable, from the beginning. So, yeah, I wish they would have just handed it over to the FBI, Oh, absolutely. I think she knew there was none. Yeah, absolutely. So, ooh, pizza. A bag of rocks is smarter. Yeah, excuse me. A bag of rocks is smarter, says Kylie's nail candy. Oh my gosh, yes. A bag of rocks, is a lot smarter than Chris. And, I think a lot of that was, I mean, I'm not saying that he said pervy, on purpose. Like, I think he honestly thinks the word is pronounced pervy. Sorry, I had to open my can of green tea here. But I think that he also is not very smart when it comes to common sense. So, you could have a couple of different types of smarts, and I don't think common sense is one for Chris. Because he didn't show himself to be a very intelligent person or a very good liar. And the same thing goes for Katie. She could know a butt ton about electronics, and she could know a bunch about how to wire up a system, but that doesn't mean that she's you know exceptionally intelligent or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure we could train a monkey to do that too.
Just if you think you see him, call him in.
Think all
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, call him in. Yeah.
the viewers, everybody that's helped from across the board. I mean, everybody has been tremendous.
Call his name.
Yeah.
He'll answer, and if he doesn't answer, he'll look, even if he's not being verbal at the moment, because he can talk.
Okay. Yeah. And this was another thing that Katie was trying to push to people, that Sebastian isn't verbal sometimes, but he can talk. Right? But we all know that now that Sebastian didn't have any trouble talking. As a matter of fact, that could have gotten him in trouble, that he was talking. We know now that that could be a major issue of what happened to him, is because he was talking and telling what was happening.
Sometimes he don't talk.
Sometimes I don't talk. If I don't want to talk, I don't. I mean, I'm a talker, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I don't talk either. Sometimes I do. It just depends. I mean, what kind of statement is that? He can talk, but sometimes he don't talk, then an awkward laugh.
Call his name. Tell him to stay put.
And then tell him to stay put. Call his name and tell him to stay put. Sebastian, stay put. Could you imagine going up to anyone and saying that to them? I'd run away. But okay, Katie.
And he could be on the move, so keep checking your properties.
Yes. Like, the search is never over until he comes home. That is for sure.
So smart.
But thank you for everything that everybody has done, has volunteered, the continuous efforts. I mean, it's, like I said, I've never seen something to this magnitude before.
Our community is amazing.
We're all praying, hoping, and searching for Sebastian's safe return for that day. Thank you both for talking with me.
All right. So that is Chris and Katie's first interview with the news, right? So yeah, I mean, it's like, it's weird. I mean, I could, yeah, I'm a cupcake, so sit down, sit, and roll over. He's not a dog, right? Exactly. And I just think that it would be so off-putting for a stranger to just say your name and then tell you to stay put. I would run away, So exactly, Mark. And they haven't found him, right? And Chris and Katie were not out there, doing anything to help. Nothing at all, right? And in Katie's defense, I can see her sticking around the house as law enforcement allegedly asked her to do, in case Sebastian came back. I mean, yeah, I can see that. And like a dog command, yeah, Justice for Noog. Yeah, I see you guys. I mean, definitely. But it's not like they went out after the fact or anything like that. I mean, if I was stuck at my house waiting for my son to come back, I would tie a green ribbon around the tree. I might put a green light bulb in my, in my lights, to show him that, hey, we miss you. We want you to come back home. But the sad fact of the matter is that I do believe that Chris and Katie know where Sebastian is. I do believe that that interview was maybe even less than 50% true, right? Because we find out later that the story evolves and there is no talk about a thud. There is no talk about um, Sebastian taking the trash to the end of the driveway. It was only after people were talking about that footage being seen on the cameras in the neighborhood that any of that was discussed publicly, right? Or admitted to by Chris and Katie, added to their story. They were thinking that they could get away with this shitty ass story that they came up with and that people were just going to automatically believe them, as Sammy was so better put and more eloquently than I did. But they just didn't. They were not believable, and they didn't get away with it because it doesn't make sense, right? Because then we start as the public asking more questions like, okay, Katie, because we're genuinely trying to help and figure out what happened here. So then we're asking questions that they take as harassment. And I'm not saying that some people aren't. Some people are completely psychotic, right? But in the same way, most people were asking questions because there were major lapses in time that didn't make sense. So you're saying that you guys had a good day. He was behaving, right? Okay, well, and he wasn't in trouble. And this would all make more sense if if you would have been fighting together, right? It would have made more sense. Hey, Linda, if it would have been if Sebastian and Katie had been fighting, because obviously they're saying Chris wasn't around. But they're not saying what happened when they got home from the Texas Roadhouse, right? I mean, she says, I told him to go to bed. He did. He said, good night, mama. Good night to his puppies, right? She said he was playing for a little bit. He was in his room playing. Told him to go to bed. He did, right? So all of these things that they had to answer for later were things that they weren't considering having to answer for because, again, they thought that Sebastian's case was just going to be forgotten. And here we are 2 years later and we haven't forgotten. And I think the public is way smarter too, Marion. I agree with that. The public is smarter than they think, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too. And I think that they weren't banking on people actually asking questions, probative questions to actually help find Sebastian. I mean, they even had their spokesperson, Cluminati, say that for them, right? They didn't really think you were going to try to solve this case, that you were really going to try to help find Sebastian. Well, a lot of people that genuinely want to help figure things out, they're going to ask more questions in order to figure it out, in order to have a deeper understanding about it. Because many of us understand that if we're just wasting our time spinning our wheels, that's no good. No good to us. It's wasting our time and it's wasting valuable, precious time trying to find Sebastian. So I think KP and CP, pet to speak, she does, as she says, and quickly, in my opinion. Well, and there's just too many lapses in time for us to get a greater picture of what could have happened that night. Another thing that Katie likes to leave out in all of the stories was anything that Sebastian did for a nightly routine, especially on a school night heading into a Monday morning. We all know that Mondays generally suck, right? But the reason they do is because now you're getting up, you got to get going, you got to get out the door, right? You have to be organized, you have to be prepared for your day. It's the same thing with coming back to a work week, right? And so, for Sebastian, what did that look like? She's never told us, right? Because something had to have happened that night. And that's my honest opinion. If they made it home from the Texas Roadhouse, something happened that night at the house, right? That would just have to be the next logical step. Whether they want to tell us the truth or not, that's the next logical step, that something happened. And then when Chris doesn't call until after Sebastian supposedly went to sleep, it makes me wonder what happened and why Chris and Katie had that phone call. Again, that's just the next logical step in understanding what could have happened. Valley Gal says when a mother doesn't speak for days and the community is told to drop off water and snacks, but no other communication is given, it makes you go, It does, Valley Gal. Exactly. Yeah, and it should, because especially if we're really trying to get to the bottom of it, if we weren't asking questions, that would just show indifference, like we didn't really care, right? Okay, yeah, we'll just believe her. Okay, moving on, right? So he could have been anywhere, suggests she knows where he was traveling someplace. Oh, that's a good point, Kylie. Yeah. Yeah, like if she doesn't know where he is, he could be anywhere. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, as if she gave her son over to somebody, but she doesn't know what happened next. And I do understand that. If he can be anywhere, look everywhere, darn it, right? Exactly. And that's why awareness is so important because, we never know what they have done here. At this point we're trying to figure it all out. And it's very tough to figure out because we don't have all the details. You know, we don't even know if she did a handoff on the way home from the Texas Roadhouse. We just don't. Um, something horrible could have happened overnight and she could have put Sebastian in the back seat and she could have transferred him to someone else as well, you know. And it's just so much like Jaden Spicer's case. The story is that the mother is giving here. Justice for Nuke says CPS reports looking to locate a home, no cameras, vulgar interviews on pointless panels, lawyer up on the Fifth Amendment. Yeah, and on and on. Yeah, she pleads the Fifth. Yep, a sheriff afraid to call in the FBI, and come on, FBI could find him. Yeah, I mean, and I think that the FBI absolutely thinks that Sebastian was kidnapped, or they wouldn't have him listed on the website like they are. The FBI doesn't think he ran away, or they wouldn't be issuing that $50,000 reward for him, you know? Yeah, right, TN nurse, because the Secret Service was circling their home, and in town, allegedly. Yeah, I heard they were in town. I heard they brought in a lot of different agencies in the beginning. Even the card team was issued, or excuse me, deployed. Oh yeah. They needed to stop doing interviews if they were going to muddy the waters, but they were trying to get ahead of things, in my opinion. They couldn't handle people asking questions or trying to build a truthful narrative out of their 50% truthfulness. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but he liked to hang out under his bed as far as I knew. From what Seth told me, he used to like to go under there and kind of hang out. But also it could have been, a soothing. I looked at it more of like a soothing thing. Like he liked to go under there and read or play his game, so he could have like privacy or whatever. But then again, if they're taking his doorknob off, maybe that's the private place that he had. Maybe that's the place where he felt private and safe. I'm a Cupcake too says, yeah, Katie, let us do something more productive with our time. Where's Sebastian? There's more children to find. That's right. I'm a Cupcake too. And, there are so many missing children that we could be spreading awareness about. And Katie likes to talk about them, which is understandable, that we would want to talk about every missing child and, spread awareness. But for Katie, it's very odd that she's been ultra focused on other children, or Sebastian falling to the bottom of a feed. That's what she said in the Only Hands interview. Don't let him fall to the bottom of a feed somewhere. What? Fall to the bottom of a feed somewhere? I thought that was absolutely strange, you know? So In my opinion, they snuck him out low in the dark to a car, a new home, and they didn't want to raise him or let Seth. They'd still have to be involved. And, I believe that too, Justice for Nuke. They would still have to be involved even if Sebastian went to go live with his dad. And I think that that is part of why they would have done something. Because people, and rightfully so, have asked about that. Well, why would they put him in a school when Seth was okay with putting him in a school, right, at a certain point, up until Seth was checking into the schools and realized that there weren't any that were really fit for Sebastian. Um, and then, were they angry with Seth because he didn't want to do what they wanted to do? At that point, I think there's again a pattern, right? We see the pattern with the CPS reports, how they were coming every couple of months, right? And then everything was getting worse and worse, right? And then we also have a situation where they wanted Sebastian out as soon as possible. And then Seth was like, no, right? At first, he's like, sure, I'm willing to look into that type of a thing. And then he decided it was not something that he wanted to do. So, was there animosity because of that? We saw how much animosity there was because Chris asked about the GoFundMe, and allegedly the police told him it wasn't a great idea. But Seth's sister decided to start a GoFundMe for Seth, and that's where they got upset. Again, I mean, and not only just upset, but like fighting, screaming, mad, going on panel to panel, talking about, I got to get up tomorrow morning. I don't have a fucking GoFundMe, that mad, right? Like bringing it up constantly, right? Because if something bothers somebody, we're all human, you bring it up, right? And then maybe you don't let it go. And that's exactly what he did with the GoFundMe. So could you imagine them thinking that they were going to put Sebastian in a school, but then his dad said, no, I'm not on board with that? Could cause major issues, in my opinion, especially with these two, because when Chris is losing control, he can't handle it. His little fragile ego can't take it. Perhaps I should rephrase. I'm not saying that that's why she left, but allegedly the Secret Service and FBI had been around when she left. Yeah, I know what you're saying, TN Nurse. I think it was the pressure of the whole situation rather than any type of like actual threats. Because I mean, look, the police were going to their house, every day and things like that for a while. Ken Widener was going over there to talk to him. He was heading over there after the news interview, he said. And, it's one of those things where it could be taken in a couple of different ways, speculating. But I think that was the bigger reason behind it, right? Because I mean, if the police are patrolling your neighborhood, you're going to feel more safe unless you're afraid of the police. But they didn't have a reason to be afraid of the police if they had nothing to do with it, right? But again, people who are guilty get very paranoid. No, she don't advocate for her own or all the kids. Yeah, if she give a crap. And I don't understand why she wouldn't just advocate for her own son. Like to me, I would be not um concerned, right? I mean, yes, I would probably be sharing flyers as I seen them because you do get involved in a community and then you want to help other people. I understand that. There's a lot of people that become advocates because of a situation they've been in. But Chris and Katie were pushing that very early on, and that definitely raised eyebrows to me. So, and I do think I'm a cupcake that there could be a direct correlation to Sebastian being scared and maybe he was hiding under his bed, And Chris saying, well, was he on the other side of the bed? To me, when he talks about being on the other side of the bed, I don't know. Again, I just feel like their story that they came out with in this interview was definitely rehearsed. And that's why some of it might ring true, but or half of, half and half. I can see it being half and half. The part where she says, they got home, he said goodnight to his mom, goodnight to his puppies, could be true, but then again, we don't know, because usually, and I know a lot of people have talked about this at length, but usually when you say good night, I love you to your kids back, right? You don't just let them say good night, love you to you. You say love you too, right? Or vice versa. You'll say good night, I love you, and your child will reciprocate, right? That's what a healthy, loving relationship is. It's not one-sided. Katie made the relationship one-sided. He said good night, mama, good night to his puppies, right? But you didn't tell your son that you loved him good night to him, right? I don't expect her to tuck him in. He's 15. So for a 15-year-old to come up and say good night, mom, I think that shows responsible, healthy child, right? Because they're old enough at that point to go to bed on their own, and you're not trying to baby them. They go to bed. You go brush your teeth, right? And usually a 15-year-old, you don't have to tell them to brush their teeth. If you've raised them properly, right? They know to brush their teeth before bed. They know to get ready for bed. That sort of thing. And do people need reminders? Sure. Did Sebastian maybe need reminders? Maybe. But again, she doesn't say anything like that. I mean, a lot of times too, you give kids like a 5-minute warning, it avoids meltdowns for them to be prepared for what's coming next. Especially if you're leaving like Chuck E. Cheese or something, right? When they're really little, you're like, okay, we only have like 5 more tokens, all right? So after this, there's no more, da 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 da. So they don't throw a fit when you're going out the door. You set the expectations for them, so they're not, oh my gosh, no more tokens. Now what? Well, I want more, and there's an issue. So, but for me, again, with Sebastian, there wasn't any like kind of, all right, buddy, time to, start getting ready for bed, right? Nothing about the nighttime routine, nothing about medications, nothing about that, right? It was like they just wanted us to believe a generic story that has no depth, that has no truth to what actually happened. So Jen's got some hot spots for us to look at, guys. And I want to do that with her while when we go down there, or when I go down there for the Gathering of Voices. So I want to show you this video that Jen made about the searching. So just bear with me here because I think I got an ad. All right. So this is a good video that Jen made. And if you would like to join the search, please do. Please do, please do. If you guys are coming in for this event, and if you would like to email Jen, she is going to be coordinating it because she does live there. So I'm going to let her do that. And as I have updates, I will absolutely share them with you guys. Oh, hold on. Sorry. All right. And here we go. All right. That looks good.
Since Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. 2 years. 2 full years since Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee. 2 years without answers, 2 years without closure, 2 years without justice. As we approach this heartbreaking anniversary, I have to ask a question. Do we sit back or do we gather? I've been mapping Sebastian. I've been reviewing the terrain. I've been looking again and again at proximity patterns, geographic hotspots, and there are areas near Drake's Creek that continuously stand out to me. And I want to be very clear before I go any further. It's not about accusations. This isn't about anything that law enforcement did or didn't do. It's not about trespassing either. It's about awareness. It's about community. It's about not letting Sebastian's name fade into silence. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers was last seen in Hendersonville, Tennessee on February 25th, 2024. And this 2-year anniversary, there are certain areas near Drake's Creek that deserve renewed attention. And just listen closely, okay? Listen to me. If, and I mean if, there is a gathering of voices, those people that are going to come, if we are going to come in numbers to Gallatin, Tennessee at Sumner County, we could get a coordinated search together that's respectful, not trespassing, not going into private property, no vigilante behavior, Here's what I'm asking. Can the gathering of voices meet in a safe, permitted way to search portions of the waterway of Drake's Creek? If so, this search would require boots, gloves, respect, and coordination. And if you're interested in participating in this boots on the ground awareness search for Sebastian Rogers, all you got to do under this video is comment search. Email me at jennifertjennings@gmail.com. I think that this move would be productive with our time. And waterway searches aren't just casual walkways in the park. They can be physically demanding. Terrain shifts, creek beds are changing, there's wildlife, there's sharp debris. But if this is organized properly, it could be a good structured search, a good way of bringing attention back to Sebastian on this 2-year anniversary of his disappearance. 2 years is too long. It's unacceptable. Anniversaries matter. They gain renewed media attention, renewed community focus to remind people that this case is not just close to our hearts, but it brings serious chatter to reality. So bring your boots, forget rumors and drama and accusations. Let's just come with respect. We're not trying to replace law enforcement. We're not trying to interfere. We are just supporting awareness for Sebastian Rogers. 2 years. He is a young teen. Disappeared without a trace. And no teen should disappear and simply become a headline that fades away. I'm asking for help in finding Sebastian Rogers. If he is deceased, I have hot spots. If he is alive, I have hot spots. So are you willing to stand up? Are you willing to stand up safely, responsibly, respectfully for Sebastian? If so, just comment search. Email me. And as always, justice for Sebastian. Awareness for Sebastian, because 2 years is too long.
Okay. Yeah, and I do agree. So we're going to do a search. I did put Jen's email in here, so definitely feel free to get a hold of Jen. And all that is unseen, I am going to live stream while I'm there. So It's going to be kind of a combination of live streaming with Jen and then probably live streaming, on location. For the search particularly, I'm not going to live stream it, but I'm going to video record it on my phone in order for us to, see it, and I'll make a video, upload it that way. Because should we find something of interest or something of evidentiary value, I don't want there to be a huge spectacle made. I've learned a lot in even the past year about search and rescue and how it works, and especially with Devlin's case. And I just think that it's better if I do a video as opposed to a live. Because again, a lot of things could happen, and I just don't want, to catch anything live that I wouldn't want out there. And I know I can privatize it and take it down or whatever, but once it's out there, it's out there. One thing that I know, that my friend and SAR would tell me is that it's not a good idea to live stream a search like that. Because, the reality is that we're not looking for someone who's alive at that point. It's just the reality of the situation. But the gathering of voices, yes, I do want to live stream that and bring that to you guys who can't be there, right, to see it. But that goes for anything that I'm doing there, like even if I don't live stream, I will upload videos in order for you guys to, be a part of the experience. But yeah, the gathering of voices, I will definitely live stream. Kylie's Nail Candy says, I think that's why Katie said we went and bought snacks as he was going as long as on a long trip. Yeah, and I mean, I always wondered about the snacks too, Kylie. And I was thinking that maybe it was because she knew that she was going to be in the house and not leaving. So she stocked up on snacks for herself and Chris, because we can tell they like to eat snacks and sit around on their big bums. Debbie says, why can't they just bring the parents in for questioning or interrogation? Please tell me. Thank you. Good job. Thanks. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate your support. So, for the life of me, I don't know why, besides the fact that they have lawyered up. And I think that they have brought Katie in for some softball questioning, but nothing to the magnitude that other people might have to go through, or that most missing children's parents should go through when they report, right? It should just be an automatic, you're coming to the station so we can clear you, right? Or so at least we can feel confident that you are not involved. But that was not done here, at all. So, and I can't imagine the feeling of seeing, your child on TV the way that Seth has had to deal with all of this, Tia Nurse says, Debbie, they've been questioning the parents since day one. You should have to use strategy when interrogating, because it'll push people to retrieve counsel and stop talking. Allegedly that happened. Yeah, thanks, Tia Nurse. That's like what I said, but very well put. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the fact is they were definitely questioning Katie in the house, right? They were asking her questions because they really thought that Sebastian, walked out. But I mean, Katie, we know that she was still pushing that even, once they scaled the search back, she was telling, Holly Thompson, I don't know why he walked out that door, right? Make more sense if we'd been fighting. He was behaving. He wasn't, and then Chris, he wasn't even in trouble. Make more sense if he was in trouble, but he wasn't even in trouble, I mean, so they were really pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, that Sebastian walked off. And then we see them on March 25th. I believe they were on Nancy Grace, March 25th. And they were, Katie said that Sebastian could be anywhere. That's why she left the house, right? Because he could be anywhere. And I'm looking everywhere for my son, and I was going to accompany my husband back to work. And then she was talking about how her theory had changed, that she doesn't think that he walked out because he would have been found, because they searched and searched that, 5-mile radius around the home, right? Because they started out, I believe it was like the 3-mile radius, and then they ventured out farther. They were also bringing in cave specialists. They were doing, every type of search that they could physically do on the ground, they did do. This particular search, Drake's Creek search, is a search that Jen was wanting to coordinate, because all of the water runoff, not the sewer water, but the flood water or rainwater runoff, would go down this way. And so, in hopes that we might be able to find out more or eliminate this area, Jen was thinking, if everybody's coming out to attend this gathering of voices, that this would be a good opportunity for us to do do a grid search, and really search the banks and things to see if anything has washed up and that sort of thing. And I think that's a smart strategy, because there's so much water around that area. It's woods and water, right? We also have those huge culverts right next to Sebastian's neighborhood that were fully open, and they were so big that people could fit down there. Several people could fit down there. So, Little Miss Sharon, thank you so much. She says, so bottom line, CP has 5 CPS cases, belted Sebastian 2 times that we know of, smacked Nina's children in the face, as well as chucked the baby in her capsule aggressively, allegedly used a hammer on an ex. I know. All of that combined and added up, Little Miss Sharon, is absolutely cause for concern, right? And I believe he also was mean to her children, like cruel to them, right? And she didn't like the way that he was disciplining her children, is what she said. And the thing about Nina's interview is she told us a lot of information, but there's a lot of things that were probably kept unsaid as well. But the things that were said were absolutely, I don't even want to say triggering, but it shot up red flags, because that's not normal behavior. You don't get angry because the baby cries, especially not your own baby, especially when they're brand new. You want to be so careful with them. That's when it's your first baby, you're like, oh my gosh, hyper vigilant, I don't even think is the word. You're going in there checking, are they still breathing, stuff like that, because you're a new parent, you don't know what to expect. And especially when you're a young parent. But Chris wasn't a young parent. He had already been fully grown, as much as he could grow. But yeah, by the time he had Faith, there's no reason to get angry and aggressive, like you said, with a little newborn baby, and also give your wife, the mother of your child, a little bit of time to heal. He has no compassion. Being with a narcissist is one of the worst things, and it can take such a toll on you. But he's a violent narcissist, in my opinion. So there's a lot of hotels in the area, like even into Nashville too. I'm a cupcake. I often wonder if investigators compared snacks and receipts. Surely they did. Yeah, I've wondered about that too, because why would they need to shop at a wholesale grocery store like that when it was just the 2 of them in the house? Unless she was shopping for Chris and then he was coming home getting groceries, but it doesn't sound like they were cohabitating to that degree at that point. It sounded like Chris was doing his own thing in Memphis and Katie was doing her own thing with Sebastian in Hendersonville. Sebastian going to school, Katie going to her job, etc. So, yeah, I don't know what LE needs, further besides finding Sebastian. I often wonder if that's just what they're waiting for, Oh, I know all that is unseen. And I saw a couple replies from some people who were really questionable, and I was like, ooh. So I just, I'm always very careful in that regard. Um, because I don't want to be out in the woods with a bunch of Oh God, this is so terrible. I don't want to be in the woods with a bunch of strangers. But I was also thinking about being safe in other ways too. Like, shall we wear bright orange? Right? Shall we tell everybody to make sure they're gloved up and booted up? Right? Because I have muck boots that I'm planning on wearing and everything. But making sure that we have the proper gear and things like that to make sure everybody is safe. So this isn't going to be one of those Terry Lynn searches. So I hope people are aware of that, because even Jen was saying about it being taxing, and walking that riverbank is it's going to be quite the feat. So I was scared with my first child, even though I helped raise my sisters. Yeah, Linda. And I mean, I was the same way because I was the oldest anyway, but then I also babysat, so I was familiar, with little kids and, babies and stuff. But I mean, it's a whole different ball game when, they give you your baby and you're like, okay, I'm responsible here. I have to make all the right decisions, and you just want to do everything right. And then you realize, well, that's never going to happen. You're never going to be a perfect parent. So Nashville traffic sucks. I went through there in December. Yeah. I hit traffic in the morning. Last time I went too, like, cause there's a couple of construction zones, as well, when you come into town there, or from Nashville in. Yeah, they did allegedly go to two. Yeah, the day before was Costco and the next day BJ's. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, buying all of that food is odd, right? Especially for two. And again, it'd be different because I understand that everybody has a different family structure, right? And some guys do rely heavily on their wife to do the shopping and stuff. And then, Chris could have taken all of the goodies or whatever he bought back with him. But I mean, that is a 3-hour drive. So, I mean, he's going to have to go to the grocery store for his own milk, his own, things that are perishable. I don't know what Chris eats. God only knows. He's an energy vampire. He eats energy. But, I mean, he's probably, I'm just going to take it a really wild guess and say that he's shopping for himself, whatever he may need through the week. And God only knows, maybe he was the type of guy that would go out to eat every night. Maybe he got a stipend, or, sometimes they'll give you like a little fee or whatever for food every day, and stuff like that. So, oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that I'm a cupcake too. All the gathering of voices are indigenous people. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, hey, Witchy Mama. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so that's interesting. I didn't know that. Coffee Crime and Cat says, not necessarily, Lady Freedom. I shop at warehouse stores and it's just the two of us. See, and I mean, I just don't. But then again, I don't have like the storage to put things like places either. You know what I mean? Like, to stock up on stuff. And I get sometimes people like to prep and keep, a supply of things, so I mean, maybe that's another thing that could be considered with Katie's behavior. And the double stores that weekend. I do know that it was alleged by the neighbor that they did go somewhere on Saturday and come back. So I'm assuming that's the Costco trip. But I do think that they were stocking up to keep food in the house. Um, and then again, I mean, because here's the thing: if they were sending snacks, I mean, those are gonna run out at some point, you know. So that's where I kind of get stuck there because I'm like, well, if they were sending snacks with Sebastian, surely they would have had to buy him food in the last 2 years. And I'm wondering who would keep Sebastian for these 2 years. It'd have to be someone who's not aware of the current situation, or how things are going. So that's another interesting thing to consider. Um, but yeah. So I mean, I'll be planning on, like I said, I'm gonna show the signs and stuff. I'm planning on printing out like the pictures that I'm gonna use, getting those glued onto the back. I did receive messages from you guys, so I got those in my Google Drive, and I'm gonna, write them on there, and then of course, I'll leave room to, and then if you guys want to let me know, but don't send messages. Let's see. I'm going to end up taking off tomorrow night and Friday in order to pack up for my trip, get everything ready to go. And then I plan on going live on Saturday and Sunday, right? And then Monday I'll be traveling. So I won't be live on Monday. So I think that's the plan for now. So I mean, I could always write in a message or two here and there. So, still send them in, but nothing after Sunday, right? Because Monday I'll be traveling. I don't want to have to get the signs out. I'm going to put them like in a garbage bag, so they don't get anything on them and whatnot. But I'm also going to be getting items Friday, like, some extra water and things like that, just in case people need that while we're searching. Probably some snacks. I'm going to probably be buying myself some snacks too. But also, it's always nice to have like a granola bar or something in case somebody's blood sugar gets low. I mean, again, we just don't know what's going to happen during the search. And if we're doing a 7-mile walk down, Drake's Creek, or even doing a 1 or 2 mile trek down one day and then the next day doing, however we do it, it's going to be, labor intensive for some people. So just something to think about. And I don't know what kind of a signal I would have out there, but I know that I could always use my camera, so I can go ahead and videotape or whatever, and then I'll put it up for you guys to see. So that's pretty much the plan. And then, like I said, I'll have something for us to talk about Saturday and Sunday, but at least then I'll have everything kind of packed up and planned out, in order for me to feel confident that I have everything I need, because it can be a lot, just making sure I have everything. So I just want to make sure I'm a planner. I know that not a lot of people are planners. I'm a planner. I like to make lists because I'm kind of a geek that way. But yeah, I don't like flying by the seat of my pants. I like to know what's happening. Contrary to what people say about Sagittarius, I am, I guess, the anomaly because I am very jovial. I am a free spirit, but I also like to plan things out. So, and if I don't, I'll have anxiety, or my anxiety will be greater, I should say. Debbie says, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody trying to find this wonderful boy. We as one group has to do this cause. That's right, Debbie. Thank you. His only mom and stepdad, wonderful, take the first step to do it with us, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I wish that they would. You know, Debbie, I appreciate that a lot because um, I think it would be ideal if we had everybody working together as a group. Um, I've said this before, I will say it again. If we united like the hate channels do, we would get much farther in Sebastian's case and we would be stronger because of it. But because we can't seem to work in tandem together, right? That can put a damper on things. But again, if we're all working even independently, I think we can make a difference. And I think that the search is a very, very good thing to at least get some of these areas checked off. Um, so yeah, Debbie, and if you would like to search, I will put Jen's email in because I won't be able to coordinate it. I mean, I'll help her once I get there, but I mean, it'd be easier, um, to get a hold of her and let her know because I don't know where we're going to be meeting or anything just yet, either. And so I'll be making announcements about that too, when we know more and as we go forward. So just trying to make everybody feel safe and, like things are, you know, not going to be chaotic because I don't want to tell you guys one thing and then it turns out to be something different. Um, Absolutely, Debbie. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. That's right. We're Sebastian Strong. And I am also Sagittarius. I find her very level-headed, consistent. I always get along with them. I'm a Pisces, so I don't know. I know I love Pisces too. Hey, one of my best friends is a Pisces, so I do get along with Pisces very well. IML. Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because people be like, "Oh, they're so free-spirited. They don't care." And it's like, I'm over there like, here's my list. What do I got? What do I need? What do I have? That type of thing. But again, since we're going in these woods, it's gonna change my packing a little bit. I need to make sure I find Nate's machete. He's got one around here to get through the woods with. And then just making sure I bring like extra socks and things like that because that's always a good thing. We got Marion's an Aquarius. Well, see, you would be good for a water search then, Marion. Same with IML being a Pisces. But yeah, guys, I think it'll be just interesting. I'll make sure that you guys feel kind of like you are definitely with me because I want to chronicle my trip with you guys. I mean, that's the whole reason for me doing the fundraising and all of that kind of stuff too, is that way you guys can feel a part of what's going on. So, little Miss Sharon, you're like my daughter. We got Scorpio. Hey, Coffee, Crime, and Cats. Yay. There's what you too. Cancer, like my daughter. Yep. So yeah, I mean, I want you guys to feel like you're a part of things. And also, I want you guys to be able to be a part of just sending a message to Sebastian. So again, I have it on the community wall. And I'll show it to you guys. It's just like this green poster board that's blank, which is still blank because I put them together. So what I'm gonna do is the two special ones that I'm writing these messages on. I'm gonna go ahead and reinforce those. So we'll have 4 signs all together, but 2 of them will be reinforced with the backing, and then the other ones will just be one that because I want to do a clear Seth one. And give me a second here. Okay, here we go. There we go. So yeah, and this is the post that we have here. And that's the neon green board or whatever. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's sitting on top of a drum that we have. And but yeah, here it is. And then you could, I'm going to go ahead and on these, I'm going to print out like Sebastian's flyer, the newer one, the newest one that we have with the 4 pictures on it was the one that I was going to do. But then also Aw, Shadow, that's awesome. The other one, I wanted to print out a couple other pictures of Sebastian, put it on there, too, and make it more like of a collage type of a thing. So I'm gonna be doing those, working on those as well, after I get off here tonight. So definitely send me over your messages. And then I have, um, like some special pens and stuff. I haven't figured out whether I was gonna print out the letters or draw them on myself. Um, but I want it to be where, you can see it from, a little bit away, right? So when people drive by, and I might even do one honk for Sebastian because I know Seth was doing the honk for Sebastian thing out there. So I haven't figured out how I'm actually gonna, conceptualize all of this, but I'm working on it too, and we'll make sure that I get them put out there for you guys so you guys can see them all. I do want you guys to feel like you're a part of this because I know there's so many people out there that want to be a part of it that can't make it. So but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, I think, putting this together for Sebastian for his day of remembrance. So, and again, if you guys can come out, the main event is going to be, let's see. The 26th, sorry. I wanted to go back to this other one, and there we go. Okay. So yeah, it's the main event is going to be the 26th. So, if you guys are in the area or close that can just drive out, even for a couple hours, that would be fantastic. And, much appreciated too. So there we go. Yeah. So that's the main event. So February 26th. And I will absolutely be live streaming that day for you guys. So I will make sure my phone's juiced up and, I'll go around and kind of film everything as we're going on. And then, if somebody wants to say something, they don't want to be on camera, that's okay. They can just say, what they would like to Sebastian. So we'll make it fun, interactive, and that sort of thing. I guess Silvers is going to be there for work, he said, but he's not going to have a lot of time. So I think he's going to show up. I think he thinks this is a vigil, but I think that's when he's going to be there is the 26th as well, from what I heard from his video. But I don't think he's going to have time to search because I know people were asking about that as well. Just from what he said on his video, I'm guessing that's a no, but I could be wrong. Laura, thank you so much. Hello. Good to see you. I wish I could go, but my heart will be with you. Oh, thank you for safe travel, praying for safe travels. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you. See, that's why I want to make sure that you guys feel like you guys are a part of it because you guys are a part of Sebastian's army. Hey, you guys are here listening about Sebastian, almost every night with me. And I appreciate that so much because, we need to make sure that he knows we're not forgetting about him, or falling to the bottom of the feed, like Katie likes to say. IML, I shared an update. Mr. and Mrs. E's son, Middle E, has just had surgery again. So I don't know if they're going to, if maybe Mrs. E might come down, or I'm just not sure. I know that they're still dealing with Middle East health issues. So, but I'm not sure if they will. But definitely say prayers for the E's because they are just a fantastic family. And, just reading their post the other day, I'm not sure exactly who wrote it, but no child should ever have to go through that. Thank you, little Miss Sharon. Not one single one. I don't care how old they are or anything like that. It's just you think that, you would just really think that that would never happen to a young person. You know what I mean? Because young people are usually healthier than older people. And you know, I'm just always praying for them. Yeah, that's true, Bo. Some are just too far. Some people are just too far to come, and it is a lot, guys. It's not cheap. This is not cheap to do, right? It's expensive. It's gas, it's time, it's money, it's energy, it's all of it, right? Um Yes, IML with all the drama. This is really good positive thing going on. Exactly, IML. And the thing is those people are going to try to cause the drama. I called it before they did it. I was like, mark my words, they're gonna, I mean, I don't know if I said mark my words, I should have. But I was like, the people that are not allowed, come into this thing, they're gonna be trying to get in front of, what am I gonna do, to get any type of, you know, attention over here, because I'm not going to this big event that they're having or whatever. Um, but there's so many things that people could be talking about and analyzing. I mean, even going back to this again, how many times have we analyzed this Holly Thompson? But you just hear new things. You see things from a different perspective, when hindsight's 2020, you know. So, but yeah, a lot of people are gonna try to be um relevant at this time, and that's the nicest way I can put it. You know, thank you, Bo. Thank you, thank you. I know little Miss Sharon. Oh my goodness, I would just love to have you there. I would love to have all of you guys there. You guys, are just a bright light in the community. You guys really care. And and I feel like that about a lot of the creators too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's quite a ways. It's quite a ways for some people. And then also, it is during the week. So um that's another thing that's a little bit harder for people to take off work and things like that. So yeah, exactly. I know. Exactly, Coffee Crime and Cats. If you can, you would, you know. But yeah, I would just encourage everybody to, do maybe videos, highlighting the 2 years that Sebastian has went missing. See if we can find something we didn't see before. And thank you, Shadow. It would be so nice to have like a renewed energy about Sebastian's case at the 2 year mark, pushing and pressuring. And that's where we should stick together. If you think that Sebastian deserves justice, then let's try to find some justice in this situation. Let's try to get some, because it's definitely needed here. No matter what happened, whoever's keeping Sebastian away from his family, your time is limited. The truth always comes out. So thank you, Witchy. Yeah. And so, again, let's try to, go back and figure things out. And again, I saw Guilty of a Crime did a great analysis on some of these interviews, just a quick analysis on the different video, or excuse me, the different interviews and the different stories that were pushed out. Hey Star, good to see you. Hey, I wrote down your message to Sebastian and Seth too. So, and that's another thing too. If you guys want to send well wishes to Seth, that's another thing that you can do. But I know that Seth is more so wanting Sebastian to feel that love, Um, and that's another thing. My hat goes off to Seth, because he definitely wants Sebastian to feel loved and honored at this time. Seth always says, I'm not the one that's missing, right? Meaning he's not the one that's missing, not me. You're welcome, Star. Thank you. And like I said, thank you to everybody who wants to participate in this, because this is something that's really, really positive. I mean, yeah, we could make one of these signs and throw tomatoes at Katie and Chris, and I could really rock out a sign that is like one of my thumbnails. I could definitely do a collage like that, right? I could do a collage and sayings of Chris and Katie and what they've done, what they've said, and everything. but really it would be taking away from Sebastian. So I think it's important for us to do that. It's very important for us to go out and search for him because he needs to be found. So I'm going to do that. But then, like I said, I will be back on Saturday Night Live for us to talk more about it. And then I'll also probably have some more details and a little bit more information to share. But definitely come out if you can. If not, stay tuned to our channels who will be there covering live. And, you know, it's just all about Sebastian, all about finding him, you know, applying pressure, but also being respectful and understanding that there is a process. You know, so I'm hoping that, you know, I will say one more thing before I go that, you know, looking back at the 1 year mark, knowing that law enforcement went back and seized electronics from the Proudfoot residence does tell me that law enforcement is absolutely still trying to catch Chris and Katie and get more solid evidence and proof. So that makes me feel really warm and fuzzy inside. I don't know about you guys, but it definitely makes me feel good. Aw, thank you, Bo. Aw, thank you so much. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for always being here. Thank you, Bo. And why make CP and KP feel love and support? Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll tell you, if Chris and Katie decided to go out that day and do something for Sebastian, I would support that, you know. But I just don't see them doing it genuinely. Again, I think they're guilty. I thought they were guilty from the minute I watched that interview. Um, you know, some of Katie's crying even swayed my decision a little bit. Mom to mom, right? I was like, okay, well, she looks upset, but her husband looks like he doesn't give a crap. And I mean, he still even looks like that in this background here. He's making that same dumb face, like, I don't know, who cares, and shrugging. You know, I mean, not believable at all, you know. Aw, thank you, little Miss Sharon. Thank you, thank you. Um, oh, did your comment went somewhere, Star? I see him, I think. I said there was way too much negativity and Sebastian deserves some positivity. All right, Star. Well, that doesn't seem bad. That wasn't a troll comment. No, I'm just kidding. Star, quit trolling the chat. um, get a picture that would be a first. Yeah, I know exactly. That's true. That's true, Witchy. That's true. I mean, but you know, I mean, here's the thing. I'm more about like, hey, if you're gonna do something positive, okay, you know, everybody deserves to have a second chance or whatever. But yeah, I'm totally surprised at their lack of effort. You know, it's still but I would be absolutely shocked, like, if they were to say, "Okay, well, we wanna come over here and ask some questions to law enforcement too." So, yeah, yeah, I know. I just know that they're not going to, you know? Yeah, I don't know what happened. Aw, Star. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys all so much. And like I said, if you want to add anything to the green poster board, just go to the green poster board post and write your comments there. And again, like I said, I have the other ones ready to go. So, but yeah, and then if I get any updates, you know, I'll do a quick video, you know, for that too. So, oh, great, Bo. I will. I sure will. I'll check it right after I get off of here. So, all right, guys. Well, you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you for Saturday Night Live for Night Court. All right, bye, guys.